Please join me as we salute our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, will you please take the roll?
Alderman Archiola.
Present.
Alderman Beatty.
Present.
Alderman Broster.
Present.
Alderman Casey.
Here.
Alderman Gurman.
Here.
Alderman Gennatasio.
Here.
Alderman Harla. Alderman Marlowe.
Here.
Alderman Moffett.
I would like to be excused, Madam Secretary.
Thank you. Alderman Morenin.
Here.
Alderman Pacelli.
Here.
Alderman Parente.
Present.
Alderman Vitro.
Here.
Alderman Vitale. Alderman Willis.
Here.
14 are present.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. 14 present, we do have a quorum. The next portion of the meeting is devoted to public comment. Statements are strictly limited to the legislative functions of the Board of Aldermen. Please use every effort to limit public speaking to the permissible business of the Board of Aldermen. The time limit granted to each speaker should be 3 minutes. Residents, taxpayers, and electors may address the board at this time. The board encourages speakers not to express derogatory, insensitive, or offensive statements, or to engage in personal attacks against individuals. In order to allow everyone an opportunity to speak, I'd ask that everyone please limit their comments to 3 minutes. For similar topics, please consider a group spokesman to provide public comment on behalf of the group. Anyone wishing to address the board can do so at this time.
Good evening, Board, Mayor. My name is Evan Winters, 30 Liberty Street, Melford. 30 years ago, the board got a walkway over at Beaver, Brook, and Mondo Pond. In the 30 years, I don't think the city has ever spent hardly a dime maintaining it. The state gave them a nice grant for a parking lot. They gave them a nice grant for a rain pool or something that's weed infested now. It was a waste of money. A month ago, I was walking the trail. I noticed there were some trees down on it. Called the mayor's office, I called Public Works, and the land management guy, whoever that is. It's been a month. People used to walk there with a cane, a walker, wheelchairs, and get pushed around. Now it's 3 years ago, I think it was, or 4 years ago, they had a big rainstorm. It washed out a good portion of one section between the little bridge and the boardwalk. Taxes are great to be low, but when you call up Public Works and they tell you it's on the list, it's ridiculous. The Mondo Pond, the emergency entrances, trees fell down there years ago off of Grinnell Street. You can't even, it's all weed infested. You can't drive up there. If you had an emergency, forget it. You gotta walk in a half a mile. But I really wish they would fix some of these things. A month ago, after the trees fell down, I pulled my calf muscle. So I'm in a cast for a walking boot now for 6 weeks. I was supposed to go to Spain. A year ago, I asked an alderman, hey, can you get the entrance to the pay lot at Gulf Beach fixed? Yeah, I'll get right on it. It was a year before they patched it. It's a mud hole now. People are paying $40. I'm surprised somebody hasn't gone and broken a leg and suing the city. But I really wish these things would get fixed, because it's very popular to walk Beaver Brook and Mondo Pond. But it needs, you can't just wait 30 years and say, oh, wait until we get a grant from the state. You have to fix these things. The only public works department that is really efficient not even efficient, but they're stuck, they have to come out. I had a clogged sewer line the other day. 2 days, took them, they were out there 2 days. I had already unclogged it, but I was hoping that it was down on the city's part of it. So they came over for free, cambered it for me. They've done that for my brothers and my nephew and my mother, and fixed parts where they got clogged down at the road and saved my family thousands of dollars. But they do, you know, Greg George, I think his name is, and his crew really do a nice job. But have a nice night. Thank you. Hopefully you can find some money to fix these things.
Jeannie Cavallero, 109 Siemens Lane, Unit 25. Good evening. It's nice to see you all again. As you know, I have been representing Milford Coalition of Condominiums for the last year, attending your meetings and speaking to you. I realize it's budget time, and I'm going to try again to get perhaps some movement on the ordinance for condominium trash rebate. I know that there was work done over the past week or so with the help of the mayor, Mr. Rosen, the financial director, and the city attorney. However, when I proofread it, it was, to be honest, quite insulting what the wording would mean financially to the condominiums. So I again reiterate that we pay the same taxes as a single-family dwelling. We only get reimbursed half the amount that it costs the city to pick up trash for that single-family dwelling. In January, the ordinance was amended, and it gave 55 and older communities an extra $1 for their weekly trash pickup. So they wound up with $3.16 per week per unit. And I understand why that was done in terms of, and I'm going to quote Alderman Gennatasio. He says, "I brought this amendment forward, however, because I believe it's important that we ensure that the residents of these communities, many of whom are on fixed income, are able to make ends meet in this time of significant inflation. There are only 7 55 and older communities presently in Milford. There are 74 total condominiums. Those 7 communities only represent 218 out of the 3,188 condominium owners. I figured out today that if there's 1,500 55 and older residents, owners of condominiums out of the 3,000, so about 50%, that if you brought all 55 and older owners up to that $3.16, that it would only cost the budget an additional $67,860. That would bring the equity issue that everybody's been arguing since January, that a lot of senior citizens felt they got slapped in the face when it was only given to a select group and not to all senior citizens. I know it'll be a long wait to see equivalency in the trash rebate and a single-family dwelling. I believe presently a single family costs about $5 for pickup a week, and we're getting about $2.50 a pickup per week, per unit. Our budgets are as tight as any homeowners, even tighter, because we can't even go out and get a real bid for a vendor for trash rebate. because of the fact that they have to be in compliance, and there's only 3 trash haulers that are in compliance with the city. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Liz Shipman, and I live at 6 Dogwood Place. I'm here today with my 2 children, Ryan and Claire, to ask you to vote in favor of restoring the $1.8 million cut to the school budget. I only have 3 minutes. Okay. It is simply the right thing to do. The Board of Finance's recommended budget falls vastly short of the required costs for current programs and teacher salary obligations. This decision will require deep cuts to the current programming and staff. It will have a devastating impact on Milford schools and my own children. Inflation is at an all-time high. The proposed budget was lean to begin with, and with a cut like this, it will have dire consequences for the future education of my children. Our children need support now. The last 3 years of COVID have been beyond difficult for all children, including mine. Milford Public Schools has not even begun to address the learning gaps that resulted from schools being remote and operating on a limited half-day schedule over the last few years. Children have suffered enough. They've lost so much over these last few years. Why would anyone in Milford propose cutting education at perhaps the most critical time for our kids? There is awful misinformation, and I can't address it all in my 3 minutes here, but when I watched the Board of Finance vote, Mr. Arnold incorrectly stated that there are more counselors than teachers in our schools. And that was the motion, that was the feedback that he used to make the motion to reduce the budget. That is unequivocally false. These counselors are teachers. Cutting counselors will mean that you're cutting teachers that are already working in our schools. For example, the school counselor at JFK Elementary, where my kids go to school, is Mrs. Swope. She won Teacher of the Year last year. She is a teacher, and she is a gift to our school community, and it would be a huge disservice to our kids to make cuts that are based on false information. I implore you to vote to reverse the school budget cut proposed by the Board of Education next month. The kids of Milford, along with Ryan, Claire, and I are watching, and my husband are all here watching. Speaking of Ryan, Claire, they also wanted to read some letters. These are letters that they wrote to you a few weeks ago. We haven't yet heard back from all of you. For the 2 or 3 that responded, thank you, and for the rest of you, let's have a listen.
Hello, my name is Ryan Shipman, and I am 11 in 5th grade. I love going to JFK school, and I want to get a good education and do good in middle school. JFK does a lot of fun stuff, and I want that stuff to keep happening. We don't need 200 kids in each class. All of our teachers are really kind and don't deserve to lose their job. Me and my little sister want to stay at JFK, so please can we have your vote? Also, please restore the $8.1 million, the $1.8 million.
Hello, my name is Claire. I'm in 3rd grade and I'm 8. School has been hard during COVID, so why in the world would you like to cut $1.8 million from us? Things have been hard enough. If things get harder, we don't need like 1,000 kids in every group. That would just be horrible for our teachers, which don't deserve to get their jobs lost. Thank you.
It's hard to follow that. Christopher M. Haley, 51 Sachem Street. I'll try to keep it under 3 minutes. I'll move quickly. Good evening. It's an unfortunate structure of finance that the City and Board of Ed budgets need to be drafted separately. While the two may be divided in budget craft, they intertwine into one highly desirable Connecticut shoreline community. A look at recent property transactions finds our schools mentioned in 171 of those listings, with reports indicating 1/3 of those sales as cash purchases, many above the asking price. It was just 17 months before COVID that we were investigating over 100 cases of non-residents trying to get their kids into the Milford Public Schools. People are coming to Milford and now staying in Milford for our schools. We often say it's not like when we went to school, but it is. A neighborhood school approach continues to thrive here. Over the past decades, an expansion of growth has seemed to pull Milford further from what many of us would envision as a small-town lifestyle. A lifestyle where everyone knows their community, where people feel safe, where parents watch out for one another's kids, where you can walk to school or share a ride, and where everybody knows each other. A place a lot like the hallways of our schools. The Milford school system is a vestige of what we collectively refer to in American life as the good old days. Ardently holding to this approach will be crucial in keeping that big heart in our small city. In the wake of the pandemic, we've heard countless uses of unprecedented, uncharted, history-altering. All of these are claims that must be tempered with time. Our long-range enrollment projections were laid out in 2019, but how many apartments have been built since then, allowing our empty nesters a more affordable place to downsize to, opening up housing stock for transplanting and emerging young families? How many cash buyers are mortgage-free and would willingly support additional school funding? How much of our real estate boom is owed to our school system? I come to you with no answers to these questions, but I do come as a reminder of cost versus value. Cuts that force talk of school closure bring lousy press for all of us, as members of a community with an ever-growing reputation for civic excellence. Would a fully consolidated school system, one high school, one middle school, be a cheaper alternative? Of course it would. But this is Milford, the largest grand list in Haven County, where we're not forced to be in the business of settling for what's cheap. We've earned the right to be in the business of choosing what's best. Just as we're responsibly investing toward our pensions ADEC, we should continue hold the applause, I have 3 minutes. But just as we're responsibly investing towards our pension ADEC, we should continue investing in our schools. I'm blessed to live in a city where I can trust the ethical use of my tax dollars, so I willingly hand them over to you. It would be foolish to think that the fairy tale of tax cuts will continue forever. The growth they spurred let us all benefit from surging home values. Our bond rating remains robust, and according to Fitch, by mid-decade should return to its elite status, ensuring that the cost of continued school upgrades is bonded at a desirable and responsible rate. I urge you to restore funding to a level substantial enough to halt all talks of school closure. The last time this officially came up was more than 10 years ago. I would argue with ease that our community is brighter, fuller, more vibrant, and certainly worth one heck of a lot more over those last 10 years. I like to believe our ever-improving school system contributed to that. And I look forward to continuing the trend of an even higher performing school district every day as Milford continues to reassert itself as the preeminent community in our region. Thank you.
Madison E Eisenhandler, 74 Masters Lane. Good evening. I am currently a 6th grade student at Harborside Middle School. I came here tonight to support my school. Over the summer of 2022, I was really nervous for my first day of middle school. Going into a new environment and meeting new people was going to be a big transition. However, the first day of middle school, I met 4 outstanding teachers, Miss Napier, Miss Rossetti, Mr. Shea, and Mrs. Howie. These 4 teachers greatly impacted and improved my education. Harborside has been serving Milford students since 1991. My mom and dad went there. It was even a blue ribbon school in 1999 and 2000. Harborside focuses on kindness, athletics, learning and development. I love going to school every day. Recently, many Harborside students are worrying about the school being closed, asking questions like, what school will I go to? Will our friend group be split up? Why are they doing this? Why would they want to shut down such an awesome school? Does our town not have enough money? Will our classes in the future be too big? Haven't we been through enough? In the beginning of 2020, all Milford public schools were in lockdown because of COVID. It was a big tragedy for Milford, especially for us kids. We were wearing masks, learning virtually, missing parties and activities, and not attending full days of school. Eventually, things got better, but now this? In my opinion, there are 3 reasons we should not cut this education budget. 1, we have lost enough during the pandemic. We are still trying to catch up. 2, we are anxious and worrying about the future instead of focusing on our learning and development now. And 3, we are a small city with a big heart, right? This will hurt all of Milford. Doesn't the mayor and the Board of Finance care about the education of Milford's children? And let me remind you, we are the future of Milford, and investing in the future of our community should never take a back seat. In closing, I want to say thank you to all of our teachers, the Board of Education, and the Board of Aldermen. Please do not shut down our school. I want to focus on being the best version of myself and not be distracted by foolish decisions that might impact our learning. Thank you from me and all the other kids in this community.
So I'm pretty sure we should cede all of our time to the children of the room. But my name is Alia Siraj, 22 Old J Terrace, and just a couple of comments, I promise under 3. Westport, New Canaan, Greenwich, Winston, Darien, Wilton, Glastonbury, Ridgefield, Farmington, Avon, and Amity. These are the top 10 ranking school districts in the state of Connecticut. Milford ranks at number 32. At number 32, we spend nearly $4,000 less per child in our district than the number 1 ranked school district in the state. To make up that budget shortfall with the number of students in our district would cost $20 million. $1.8 million is an extra $338 per child per year. That is not even the bare minimum of the amount that we should be looking to invest to make up the gap of what Milford owes its children in our schools. I am from this town. I was born and raised here. My father, a refugee from Afghanistan, my mom, an American from Connecticut. I grew up in this town. I went to school at Orange Ave. I went to Harborside. Mayor Blake, your mom was my favorite English teacher at Foreign. When I moved back to my hometown as an adult after having lived in California, New York, and other great cities around this country, I chose Milford, and I did so in part because of the life I had growing up here and the life I knew I could give to my own children, which I eventually had and have raised in this town. When I talk to parents who are looking to make a move and they ask me, what about the schools? Should I consider Milford? And I have always confidently said that Milford is a place that invests in the children in our community and that school performance in Milford would continue to improve. I believed it, that's why I'm here. This budget cut and the decisions being made behind it make me falter in my confidence and my recommendations to those seeking to move into the state as I chose to move back as an adult. If we do not invest in Milford schools, which attract families to our areas, they will seek out other towns that I mentioned above who outrank Milford in school performance. These families will contribute to our tax base and overall economy, and anything less than full funding moving forward at the at least bare minimum is short-sighted and harmful, not only to our children, but the future health of our beloved town.
Hello. Sorry, my voice is croaky. I'm suffering from allergies. My name is Mary Elizabeth Oak, better known by her friends as Emmy. I live at 30 Dorinna Place. My backyard is one of the schools being talked about to be closed. I do not have children. I do not have grandchildren. But I care about education for the main reason I am a dyslexic. I did not find out until I was 15. I went to public schools until I was 9. When I was 8, I went from one school of 20 students to a class to 40, and I sunk. A teacher cannot deal with too big classes. It's not the fault of a teacher. It is a fault of a design of expecting a big school to be able to compensate. It's impossible. Kids do not come in one size fits all. Each one has an issue. Mine was dyslexia. In a smaller class, I could begin to learn. When I was 15, got the special help. When I was 9, I was pulled out into a private school. Thank you to my grandmother who had the money. Otherwise, no. I ended up with a BA, 2 masters, and a partial PhD to my name. I started off as a dyer in a dye house. I ended up being second in command of the second biggest carpet design studio in the United States. When the IQ is checked on dyslexics, they sit at genius or above. We just have a different circuit system upstairs. But we can learn and go far ahead. Winston Churchill was one. Okay, that was the UK, but he did a hell of a lot for everybody else. Another was Einstein, and I could reel off far more, that contributed a great deal to the world and the countries they were from. You need to have the right proportion, not just for dyslexics, for others with learning disabilities. Of my age group, I'm a lucky one, because the majority did not get the help, and a lot end up on the streets, homeless, needing food, needing help mentally, and the reason being, we dyslexics, for instance, 40% of us end up as diabetic as adults. We eat a tremendous amount of sugar to read and write because we use 3 times the amount. Another 50% of us end up as alcoholics. If you do not do the right by education, you will have a much bigger ticket number to pay off at the end and a big mess to deal with. Good afternoon.
Hi, my name is Ryan McConnell, 114 Maple Street. I come to you tonight fully exhausted. I am a father of 3. Their ages are 1, 5, and 7. I run a business downtown that is open over 13 hours a day, 7 days a week. I have absolutely negative hours per day to spend on things that are frivolous. I say that to emphasize that for me to take the time to be here, for a lot of the parents to take the time to be here tonight, shows how important this is to us. You're going to hear from a lot of parents tonight, I expect, so I'll talk for a moment as a business owner. I own Cafe Atlantique downtown. It's been there since 2004. I've only owned it for the last 2.5 years since COVID. I moved here from Chicago in 2016 with my wife. My wife is the other owner of the cafe. We looked all up and down the train line. We wanted to be on the train. And we looked at every town. And we chose Milford because to us it was special. For the places that we thought would be best to raise a family, it won out clearly, easily. And I think it still does. A big part of that was that, amongst the many other things, had a very good school system. It still does. And I want to see that it maintains that way. But once we were here, we also invested our time, our energy, and our money into businesses downtown. I opened up one business of my own first, Hawkwood Games. And then when it looked like Cafe Atlantique may be closing, we put our bid in and took that over too. I say that because we have a bunch of condos going up downtown. The narrative I keep hearing is that we want to attract young professionals from the city. We want young professionals to come in having good jobs. They're working as engineers at Sikorsky, or maybe they're at Yale and they're living here. I can't emphasize enough how worried I am that if we start to diminish what makes this town special, people like my wife and I who moved here from out of town, who look up and down the coast at all of the towns around us, might see things like this and decide, I don't know if I can invest there. That is a worry of mine. Briefly, I have 2 kids, 5 and 7. They both started school, their academic careers, during COVID. Students that started during COVID started with a disadvantage. They could not use things like manipulatives to learn how to count, physical objects to help them learn, the classroom environment. Quickly, and I will go. They benefit now from special programs after school and before school. Those are the things that I imagine will be cut immediately if they don't have the money for it. So I urge you to think about those things as you make your decision. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Amelia Brenner, 180 Melba Street. My daughter Remington is a 6th grader at East Shore Middle School. 2 weeks ago, she tragically lost her homeroom and science teacher. It has been absolutely heart-wrenching for the East Shore community. However, through it all, the staff at East Shore, from the lunchroom staff to teachers to administration to their school counselors, supported the children in the most extraordinary way. Without them, a heartbreaking experience would have been truly detrimental to these children. They needed every single faculty member. We need every teacher, every administrator, every staff member in every school, including Harborside, to continue to show up for these children in the phenomenal way the community of East Shore did. A budget cut of this magnitude will be devastating to our children, their education, and their mental health. I'm begging you to save our students, save our schools, and save our dear children's spirits. Some cuts never heal. This would be one of them. Thank you.
My name is Carolee Schultz. I live on 100 Seaflower Road, and I'm here as a parent, a taxpayer, a voter in every election since moving here in 2014, and I'm here to ask for your vote to fully fund the Board of Education proposed budget. My 2 children are in 2nd grade and kindergarten at Pumpkin Delight. They unfortunately are COVID children. Their first years weren't as interactive due to circumstances that were out of all of our control. But now they are inquisitive, curious, and worldly due to the STEM, reading, and world language curriculums that Milford Public Schools offers. As I volunteered our science fair this year, I saw firsthand how impactful the STEM program is, as we were filled in our all-purpose room with engaged students, many of which came dressed in white lab coats. We know that we have established a standard here in Milford. Do you want to vote to unravel this? Do you want to slow down our progress? I would not have voted for elected officials who vote to slow down our progress. Instead, we need to be thinking about how we can enhance and continue the progress made. These proposed drastic cuts to a progressive and forward-thinking Board of Education and school superintendent is detrimental to our future and our economy of Milford. The Board of Ed should not be held to a standard of doing more with less. There are plenty of us in this room who are in favor of increasing the mill rate to fund our future, to keep the economy and progress of our city. It will cost a maximum of $106 to fully fund the Board of Education proposed budget. That same $106 wouldn't even come close to fund my personal son, who gets 30 minutes of counseling a week. If I tried to support that individually, I couldn't. There's months and months of wait lists to even see a counselor, let alone to fund it privately. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is William Henry. I'm a lifetime resident of Milford. I graduated from Foreign, Harborside, Meadowside, and I'm a current staff member at Harborside. Out of the 4 schools that I've taught at previously, and the 7 schools that I've attended, Harborside is by far the one that stands out the most to me. When I heard on Facebook the other day that Harborside was in jeopardy of being closed, I was shocked, appalled, and I was so upset. Harborside has led to so many different things in my life. I participated in a culture club when I was in 6th grade that directly led me to studying abroad for a semester. My brother moved out to California a few years ago, but Danny had Ms. Voss and Mr. Lesduskas, and the two of them, they persuaded him to write his own music. Danny played with the Beach Boys in concert last year. Why shouldn't these kids have the same opportunity that we had? You're talking about, $28 million for Harborside for renovations. Are you building it back brick by brick? The school is in working condition. All of this, my sister, I know some of you know Mr. Vitale, I know that you know Linny. Linny had a stroke when she was in high school. She was not able to use, regular transportation. She needed a lot of help. Milford Board of Ed went above and beyond. By cutting that, you'll not only cut special education programs, you'll cut other programs, and the schools need the money. The schools need to be the school district that I grew up with. I would never have become an adjunct professor if any of this had happened. So many other people who have succeeded wouldn't get that. 20 years ago, we were having a parade in the middle of town for the Blue Ribbon, and at this point, you're ready to shut it down? This is the most inclusive school that I've ever been in for everyone, not just the staff and students, but for everybody, regardless of your ability, orientation, or prior success. They want you to succeed, and I want them to succeed for future generations. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Melissa Kennedy. I live at 76 Regent Terrace. I am speaking tonight as an elementary school counselor and a Milford resident. For the last 2 years, it has been an honor to assist in the creation of a comprehensive elementary school counseling program alongside 7 other school counselors across the district. I speak for all elementary school counselors when I say that the positive impact it's had on our students, families, and schools have been made evident. During our time in Milford, we have individually delivered over 250 classroom lessons to all students in our buildings. These lessons enhance their life skills and support their ability to emotionally and physically handle setbacks and responsibly and effectively resolve conflicts. These skills not only help students persevere through difficult academic tasks, but also strengthen their friendships, relationships with others, and cope with unexpected life events. Our day-to-day work supports all students, regardless if they receive services through special education. Many of us know and can attest to the hardships faced when trying to find capable therapists in the community. Wait lists can be up to 6 months long, and honestly, it's a lot longer. Milford has been proactive and has provided all children with access to counselors at their fingertips. Accessing support from a school counselor at the elementary age in particular creates a strong foundation for developing effective coping strategies. These skills are instrumental in being able to handle current and future life stressors. I have a student who is intelligent, kind, has many friends, and has no behavioral concerns, comes from a wonderful and supportive family. One day, his father dropped him off at school and unexpectedly passed away moments later. In a matter of minutes, this child's life was changed forever. What about kids like him? How are they supposed to learn how to cope when their family is also suffering? That is the job of a school counselor, not only to work preventively, but also in crisis. Unexpected tragedies like these are not limited to my school building. Milford's children are impacted by mental health issues that exist in the world around them every single day. On December 8th, a Milford mother was brutally murdered in her home in front of a 3-year-old and a 17-year-old. Not to mention the countless school shootings that have taken place throughout our country. The individuals that took the lives of those students clearly have mental health issues and lack coping skills that were never addressed at a young age. I pray that our students will never experience trauma like this, but Milford is not immune. It's inevitable that all students will face their own unique challenges, whether that's dealing with a parent's divorce, a teacher's sudden death, getting their first bad grade, not making a sports team, struggling to get into the college they want, or getting rejected by their prom date, such as Marin Sanchez, who was fatally stabbed in 2016. These are a few of many examples of why kids need our support, and they need these skills to be taught to them. This is unfortunately our reality. I am asking you now to really consider what is best for our kids. What do they need from their adults to help them survive and thrive in this world? It starts here and now. And please know that I welcome each and every single one of you to come into our schools at any time to see for yourself the positive impact that we have on our kids.
Good evening, board members, Mr. Mayor. My name is Greg Cannon, and I live at 23 Marie Street. I shouldn't be here tonight. None of us should be here tonight. We shouldn't have to ask for something that we've been given already, that our kids need, that you know they need. You've heard some great stories already, and you're going to hear more. You're going to hear great reasons why we should restore the $1.8 million to our Board of Ed's proposed budget. I'm not going to recount those reasons right now. What I'd like to do instead is briefly, in under 3 minutes, talk about what the school district means to us. We moved here 5 years ago from Fairfield. And one of the reasons we chose Milford was because we knew, even with a tight budget, that it was one of the best school districts in the entire state of Connecticut. And through 2.5 long years of the pandemic, the teachers, the school district, the Board of Ed, the principals, the staff, the faculty have all stepped up and done an incredible job under incredibly difficult circumstances. My kids love school. They love it. My eldest daughter, Hannah, who's a 3rd grader at Calf Penn, the other day, on a Saturday morning, asked, "Why can't I go to school today?" My youngest daughter, every morning, asks, "What are we doing today?" And I say, "Going to school." And on weekends, when I say she can't go to school, she pouts. She's upset. They love school. They love the teachers. They love what they're learning. One day, Hannah came home and was excited to tell me about all the weather patterns she'd learned about in STEM class. My youngest daughter is special needs. She has a speech disorder. And even though she struggles with the words of the English language, she's excited to come home every day and teach us about the Spanish words that she learned in the foreign language class she's getting as a preschooler. These are incredible things that our kids are getting for a minuscule, tiny little budget. And you're about to slash all of that. And I'm asking you, please do not do that. Please do not handicap our children. Do not ask them to bear more weight, to bear more burdens than they should, that they've already borne from the pandemic. I'm asking you, I'm begging you, do what's right, do what's in your power to save this budget. I know that there's going to be a tax increase. That's fine. I speak for myself, and I think I speak for everyone else here. We're willing to accept that tax increase. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Melinda Childs, and I reside at 10 Chestnut Lane. Like many other families in Connecticut, my family is a transplant. In 2008, my family moved to Stamford, Connecticut from Chesapeake, Virginia because of my husband's job. It did not take long for me to figure out that, at that time, Connecticut was not my cup of tea. Needless to say, we were ready to pack up and head back to Virginia. That is until we stumbled upon Milford and fell in love with this beautiful community. The biggest factor that drew us to Milford was access to the train, the great neighborhoods, but most importantly, the schools. There was no question that I wanted to be more involved with my children's education. I served on the PTA board at Mathewson for 4 years, 3 of those years as president. I'm currently serving my second term as the PTO vice president at Harborside. I'm also the recording secretary of the Jonathan Law Booster Club. My husband and I have run the ski club for the past 2 years at Harborside, which Mayor Blake's child as well as Alderman Parente's child have both been a member of. And hopefully we'll continue to be able to do that next year. It is safe to say that I am not only invested in my own children's education and school experience, but I'm also invested in the education for all of Milford students and their experience in the school. Today, I am coming to you as a voter and a citizen of Milford, asking that when it comes time to discuss the budget, that you also invest in the children of Milford and restore the budget that was proposed by the Board of Ed. Since Dr. Kataya has taken the reins, Milford has been making great strides in the right direction with the curriculum, but there's so much more that we can do and needs to be done. Now is not the time to regress. We need to do better as a community. I personally do not feel comfortable having the Board of Finance, a group of individuals that were not elected by the citizens of this great city, making decisions for our children and their future. So please, do what's right for Milford and our children and reinstate the budget. Thank you.
Hello, I am Riley Hungerford. I live at 288 Naugatuck Avenue. I am a sophomore at Jonathan Law. Board members, I urge you to restore and fully fund the Board of Education's proposed budget. I'm here to talk about the budget cut and how it would affect the performance arts programs many and other students are in. Many students rely on performance arts programs such as choir and drama as a means to express themselves. I have had a very personal experience with choir. It really truly does mean the world to me, and it means the world to a lot of my fellow classmates. We are truly a family at Jonathan Law. It makes me feel better when I'm sad, and even getting to be a part of this wonderful community and being able to sing along with many amazing people is a privilege to me. We also sing a lot of school and outside of school events. Everyone always has fun. I very much enjoy this program. I am also in the drama club. Drama is another wonderful program at Jonathan Law. Much like choir, it is a big family that I am oh so overjoyed to be in. We perform a musical and a play every school year, and a lot of work goes into them. We rehearse almost every week from 4 to 7 Monday through Thursdays. Drama is also an outlet where people can express themselves through the means of singing and acting. With this said, please don't consider cutting the budget. A domino effect could occur to where these programs grow underfunded, and that would leave a lot of students devastated. I know I would be. One of the reasons I enjoy getting up in the morning is because I get to go to choir and drama every day. Thank you.
Good evening, Mike Kozakevich. I live at 23 Green Meadow Road. I have a daughter in 5th grade and a son in 2nd grade at Orange Ave. My daughter's meant to attend Harborside Middle School in September. Last week, my daughter came home from school concerned that Harborside was closing. It had been the topic of conversation among her 5th grade class. My wife and I began to explain the school budget situation, which evolved to a civics lesson. We explained local government, the roles of the mayor, Board of Finance, Board of Ed, and Board of Aldermen in setting budgets. We compared the roles and expectations of appointed officials versus elected officials. We stressed the need for transparency, accountability, and the right of citizens to participate by voicing their opinions. But the lesson I hope she carries throughout the rest of her life is when you disagree with the way things are being done, you take action. You get involved, you make your voice heard, and you fight. The letter she wrote to all of you to address her concerns will be in your inboxes tomorrow, and I hope you make the time to read it. The pandemic was catastrophic for our children. Removed from their classrooms, learning over a computer screen, stripped of basic social interactions that shape personalities and foster relationships. Today, while we begin to resume some sense of normalcy in the school environment, there are students that are behind in math and reading. Others are working through social and emotional challenges. We're about to compound that damage with budget cuts that will have implications beyond tax dollars and mill rates. At best, reductions will cut services and instruction our children need, creating a feeble educational experience. At their worst, students face school closures, increased class sizes, elimination of world language instruction, reductions in athletics, redistricting, elimination of STEM labs. The eventual byproducts will be lower test scores, loss of talent from this district, and lower graduation rates. These cuts will deplete the best parts of the school system and erode years of progress. This city, its residents, and its students deserve much better. Children are resilient, they can persevere, but they can't do it alone, absent learning resources and mental health programs they receive in school to teach and empower them. Our children's future successes require a commitment today. We must demonstrate with words, actions, and dollars that we are willing to meaningfully invest in education. I promise you the return on that investment will be measured by our children's achievements. Fail to make this investment, and we have failed our children. This is not a political issue, at least it shouldn't be. The desire to educate our children, nurture their well-being, and raise them to be productive members of this community crosses party lines. The path forward is clear if you choose to accept it. Restore the funds to the Board of Ed budget and witness the return on your investment. Thank you.
Hello, I am Courtney Kreisman, 36 Sampson Ave. I went to Harborside. I graduated from Jonathan Law in 2011. I have a daughter, Bailey, at Meadowside in 3rd grade, and a son who will be entering the Milford Public School System in a couple years. I was raised in my father's childhood home in a nice, quiet neighborhood in Derby. I went to his elementary school, and when I was about to enter middle school, my parents made the difficult decision to move full-time to our summer home in Milford. I would no longer be going to the same schools as my dad. My father knew that Milford could offer his children a better education. The town that he grew up in didn't keep up with the times. Looking back, I am so grateful that my parents gave me the opportunity to be a Milford Public School student. It shaped the person that I am today. When I was in the market to buy a home, I was absolutely adamant that it had to be in Milford. I wanted my children to be given the same opportunities that I had with Milford schools. I've watched over the past 12 years since I graduated from law as Milford has added more AP courses, they've done school additions, they've built better athletic facilities, they've gotten STEM labs, world languages at younger ages, and so much more. Prior to this funding issue, I felt fully confident that my children would be getting a high-quality public school education. My daughter is approaching the same age I was when my family had to make the difficult choice to move. So I ask of you, please approve the full amount the Board of Education is requesting. I do not want to follow in my parents' footsteps and have to uproot my family. I want to watch my daughter walk across the football field at Jonathan Law and be given her diploma with the class of 2032 on the same field where I was graduating 20 years prior. The small amount extra this costs per property owner is worth the investment. Investments in education pay the best interest. These kids will grow up one day, and if we're lucky, a lot of them will stay. They'll buy their homes here, raise their families here, pay taxes here, support local businesses here, contribute to our community here. Milford will continue to grow. Our children are worth this investment. Please keep Milford schools a great place to learn.
Hi, my name is Bailey Velasco. I'm a third grader at Meadowside School. I love my school, I love my teachers, and I have one more thing to say. My education matters. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you all for hearing me as well as everybody out here today. I know there are many people who feel the same way as many parents here in the audience do. My name is Cassandra Shull. I live at 445 High Street in Milford. I have my 10-year-old son Sebastian here with me, who goes to Mathewson, and we're currently districted for Harborside. I'm here as a prior City of Milford employee in both the Economic and Recreation departments. I'm a resident, and I am here to ask you to reinstate the proposed budget. And in fact, I think it should be increased beyond what was proposed by our Board of Ed. In elementary and high school, I was in drama club, band club, choir, National Honor Society, soccer, and pretty much every single club that I could get my hands on. That's how I made my friends. That's how I made my group of people who I grew up with. I made lifelong relationships, and I still on occasion get a beer with my 7th grade counselor from middle school. With recent events in Connecticut, Nashville, Tennessee, and the entire United States, now more than ever, our Board of Aldermen, our boards of education, and other government officials and decision makers need to put the needs of our students and teachers first for social, emotional, and safety needs. Above anything else, these students are our future, your future. How can we not invest in the same way that we would stocks or bonds? Making budget cuts severely impacts students, and the fact that we're even considering this is mind-boggling to me when we have thousands of students who depend on us for their education. Surely there are other ways and other areas of the budget that you could help fund these costs. Often, we forget that for some students, attending school is the only time that they get a meal. The only time that they can sometimes escape the horrors that may be at home for them. It's the only time that they are safe and the only time that they can truly be themselves. If the goal of the City of Milford and Board of Education, as well as anyone who's here in a political position, is to have successful schools that are geared for the student and for their futures, I urge you to reinstate the proposed budget. We've had the pleasure, my son, to participate in the band programs here, and as well as many other activities. The purpose of our enrichment programs, our STEM programs, our counselors, and the things that might seem like fluff, those are the things that are most important in our education system, beyond math, beyond the test scores. How can we discourage students from having that access? These programs build musicians, teachers, athletes, scientists, and our future. How can we support making schools less fun? Sorry. My son is also a part of the enrichment programs here in school. He's had a lot of support from additional staff to also accustomate and to work with our disabilities in regards to allergies within the school system. Reduction in the cost would severely impact the ability for him to be able to be safe in the schoolroom, to be able to be safe in the cafeteria where literally the touch of a food could potentially take his life. We need more teachers. We need more staff. We need more funding. Please do not cut this budget. We moved here for Milford. I took steps into another school in a neighboring town, and I walked out and said, I need to do whatever I can to move somewhere else. And I found Milford, and I made Milford my home for the last 6 years. And I work in Darien. My fiance works in Wilton, and we choose Milford. So I ask you to please also choose Milford, choose Milford's future, and choose our children, and increase and reinstate the budget. Thank you. Do you want to say something? Let's say your name first.
Hi, my name is Sebastian. I'm 10 years old and I go to Madison School. I want you to know that I really think it's unfair that we have to go down to small fundraisers just for us to have a farewell party for 5th grade. And we barely get any field trips or anything fun like that outside of school. And I really think that it's unfair that we don't get a lot of protection or help for students with disabilities. And I really love my school and my teachers and my learning, and I wish that they could just stay the way they are and not be downsized.
Hi, my name is Jen Federico. I live at 117 Holly Ave. I like talking after the children because it's one of the few times I get to lift the microphone instead of bringing it down for me. I'm here tonight as I was 10 and 12 years ago to ask you and plead of you to return the full $1.8 million in funds to the Board of Education. I work in corporate finance, and I realize that following year after year of 1% and 2% and 2.5% increases, the sound of 4.58% causes sticker shock. It sounds like a lot, I get it. And if you're hyper-focused on just the rate versus the prior years, it sounds like a really big jump. But my job that I do every day is to put numbers like that in context for senior executives. So I'll remind you, we're in an inflationary environment that hasn't been seen in 30 years. Current inflation in the state is around 6%, and we've all been feeling it, right? Well, the Board of Ed doesn't operate or live in a bubble protected from inflation. The teachers, they're not in a bubble. The bus drivers, the facilities, the staff, everybody is affected. Everybody in this school system is affected by inflation. So I think it's commendable that the board actually came in nearly 1.5 points below the current inflation rate, and that should be the headline. Some people are just fixated on the rate compared to prior years, but that is not a fair comparison at all in today's unprecedented economic environment. In the interest of fairness, please consider the context of the current environment and return the full amount of $1.8 million to the budget. And if you don't put the money back, I challenge each of you to go on record, put your money where your mouth is, and recommend which schools should be closed to make up the gap. Because it's in your hands now.
My name is Catherine Myman. I live at 42 Dorina Place, and my son Jack Andrachik would like to read a statement that he wrote for you.
Hello, I'm Jack Andrachik. I'm 10 years old, and I live at 42 Dorina Place. My sister and I both go to Calf Penn Meadow. Now I'll talk a little bit about my experience at Milford Public Schools. I had a very difficult time at my Stratford school, and my family moved to Milford for better schools. My teacher was not the most... In Stratford, my teacher was not the most understanding person. After we finished that school year, I moved to Milford and met my first grade teacher, and she was one of the nicest people ever. She was very understanding and patient, and I wasn't really used to it. I had an amazing year that year and made lots of friends, and every year that I've been at Calf Penn since, then each of my teachers has been equally caring, understanding, and willing to help with almost anything. I have had many amazing school years in Milford, and my parents are both teachers. I know that they have probably made big impacts on other people's lives, just like my teachers have done for me, and I think that getting a good education is very important. I have improved in math and many other subjects because of my teachers' kindness and patience. And now it is possible for me to lose some of those things, some of those important things that have made such a big impact on me and my family. And all of the schools in Milford, I believe, are going to have just as hard a time because it is a possibility that we will lose needed funding for our schools. We may have to close down one of our schools, which will put even more stress and way less time on our teachers, and we may lose music, health, and art. Music, health, art, and science. These are all important to me and many other people. The other thing that worries me is if these budget cuts are made, the education level for us students may start going down, and our learning will start going a lot slower. I care very much and really thank Milford Public Schools for all that they've done for me and my family, and I am really hoping that these budget cuts are not made. That way none of these things will have to change, and the teachers won't be as stressed, and the students will get the time they need, and will be able to keep going as smoothly as we have been going up until now. I hope that these cuts are not made. I really have loved what Milford Public Schools has done for me and my family, and I would like to kindly ask the Board of Aldermen not to make these cuts. That way all the students in Milford will be able to have the same great experience that I have had. I thank the Mayor and the Board of Aldermen for their time.
Good evening. My name is Mary Kate Locke. I live at 57 Cedar Hill Road. I'm the mother of a 5th grade and 2nd grade student at Orange Avenue Elementary School. I speak to you as a mom who cares deeply about the children of Milford Public Schools and our amazing district staff. I also speak to you as a clinical social worker who sees the mental health crisis around us every day in my work with children. COVID-19 wreaked havoc on all of our lives. But only now are we beginning to understand the true impact on our children. Here in Milford and across the country, we see rising rates of depression, anxiety, self-harm, and suicidal ideation in our children. Ask our building administrators, school support staff, and teachers what they see in our children as a result of the pandemic. And I'm not talking about academics. I'm talking about the mental health of our students. Ask a district staff member how many calls to 911 or 211, our state's mobile crisis line, are made each month on behalf of a youth in crisis here in our district. It is heartbreaking to hear the stories of how many children in our community are struggling, and I have endless gratitude for the school counselors, social workers, building administrators, and teachers across the district who commit themselves to building resilience and mental wellness in our children. These adults are not immune to the impact of the pandemic, yet they show up every day for our children. What are the protective factors that help to combat the mental health struggles our children face? Connections to trusting adults, predictable structure and routines, feeling a sense of control, strong coping skills, and engaging in academic programs and extracurricular activities that help them develop self-confidence and a sense of belonging. Given what we are seeing in our children, the heavy burden already placed on our district staff, and what we know is needed to help our kids to thrive, I cannot begin to wrap my head around any proposed budget cuts in our district. Is this the time that we want to add more stress, instability, uncertainty, and worry to the children of Milford? Is this the time where we ask the incredible and dedicated staff of our district to sacrifice or do more with less? Each election day, I proudly take my boys with me to vote. We talk about the power and privilege of voting. In local elections, my sons will ask, so these are the people who will take care of our community and make sure Milford kids have everything they need. My son asked me a question last week that I didn't have an answer to. Why would the people we voted for who are responsible for taking care of our community want to close the school I'm going to next year or take things away that help us be the best we can be? We all see how politics can be divisive, but I can't think of anything more unifying in a community than investing in our children, because they are in fact the future of Milford. I ask as our elected officials that your legacy is not cutting funds to the children of our community and the amazing school staff who support them every day, but rather restoring the $1.8 million to our school budget. Milford is a thriving community in so many ways. Let this be the moment where we as the adults do what we need to do to help our children to thrive. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mary Ellen Koloski, 326 West Main Street in Milford. I am the president of the Milford Education Association, which is our teachers union. As you know, we're all here tonight because the Board of Finance cut the superintendent's budget by the $1.8 million. But I would like you to reflect on this one question: at what cost? Suggested reductions the Board of Education is now faced with will be at the cost of closing a school, reduction in personnel, reduction in support services, reduction in extracurricular activities, and reduction in our learning communities. Again, at what cost? It will be at the cost of our students' educational opportunities. I respectfully request that you restore the $1.8 million to support the Board of Ed full budget. We need to support education. We need to support our children's future. We cannot let that be at the cost of our children. So please, do the best thing here and restore the full budget. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Saluga, 156 Clark Hill Road. I'm here like everyone else because I'm concerned about the school budget. I'm also here because I'm angry. I'm angry at the Board of Finance's decision, and I want to implore the Board of Aldermen to overturn that decision and give Milford Public Schools the funds that they need. As you heard already, the Board of Finance's stated rationale is based on misrepresentations of the facts and a total disregard for the prevailing economic conditions. The town of Milford is not immune to those conditions. As we heard earlier, over the last year, the entire world has experienced the highest levels of inflation seen in the last 40 years. Inflation in the last year is estimated to be between 6 and 7%. So let's be clear, the so-called 4.4% budget increase that MPS has asked for is not an increase. In terms of real dollars, adjusted for inflation, what the Board of Education is asking for is actually a 2% decrease in the real value of the budget. When you look at it in this light, and you look at the previous years, the school budget has actually been going down almost every year over the past 5 years. And it still will with this proposed budget if you vote to restore it. The school system is a vital part of our town and benefits not only the children. Obviously, we have a lot of parents here. I'm a parent of children in the Milford Public School system. But even the homeowners with no children in the system benefit because the property values of the town are sustained in part by the quality of the school system. Now, it's been calculated that the proposed budget increase would increase the median household tax bill by approximately $42 a year. Last time I checked, that would be less than $1 per week. I ask, why are we here? This is a trivial amount. It makes it all the more frustrating that we have to be here to advocate for this. To cause that sort of disruption to the school system, likely in the form of closing another school and eliminating multiple programs in a short period of time right before the next school year starts over such an insignificant amount is extremely short-sighted, and frankly, it's ridiculous. The proposed cuts would constitute a totally self-inflicted wound to the town, and I hope that this board does the right thing and restores the budget to the original proposed amount. Thank you.
Good evening. Augie Harrigan, 107 Oronoque Road. I'm a Milford parent, two wonderful children who both went through the Milford school system. Jonathan Law High School graduates. One of them is here in the audience tonight. I'm here to speak in support of the Board of Education's approved 2023-24 budget, which was cut on the Ides of March by a 3-2 vote by our mayorally appointed Board of Finance. This decision was tone deaf to the ongoing advancements and challenges of our district. I do want to say first, thank you to the members of this board who did attend some of the Board of Education meetings in the last week or two, so that they could better understand what is at stake for our children. My wife Emmeline and I chose to return to our native state of Connecticut, and specifically Milford, in 2004, so we could raise our family in a community that valued strong public education. Before we knew it, with two young boys, we'd set sail on this great voyage with the Milford Public Schools. But soon we learned the seas were a little rougher than we realized. Unstable district leadership, lackluster educational outcomes compared to neighboring communities, and apparent inequalities between the two high schools. We jumped headfirst into parent leadership to do our part, and the Board of Education took its own measures. They brought in Dr. Elizabeth Fieser and were able to right the ship, to reclaim needed discipline, and build on best practices in education. And then in 2018, as you know, Dr. Anna Kutaya took the helm. She's kept our ship seaworthy during the most unprecedented of times, but also shown us that we can inspire excellence and expand our journeys to new lands. Under her leadership, we have a vision and a plan forward that gives our children what they need intellectually, socially, and emotionally to meet the challenges of the future. We're expanding career pathways, languages, AP course selections, and the arts, but progress requires investment. It occurred to me a couple years ago when City Hall touted the 6th consecutive year of tax cuts and mantras that Milford is doing more with less, that we've really been blind to our priorities. That what we're really doing is setting expectations that despite the need to invest in so many facets of our community, especially education, we should just accept this path of penny-wise, pound-foolish frugality. According to census data, Milford's median household income has jumped by nearly 23% in the last decade. And we continue to have one of the state's strongest grand lists. We can support investments. But we're going to have to keep fighting for our children's education year after year because we're so accustomed to being spoon-fed this notion that low and lower taxes are paramount. Doing more with less sure sounds noble, until you realize just how counterproductive and negligent it's really been. Four years ago, Rich Smith, Milford's now interim mayor, a parent, declared, "I have every confidence Milford has become the envy of all the cities in Connecticut." Today, we're faced with the very real possibility of hastily closing a school, sacrificing teachers who sacrificed for us, cutting programs, understaffing counseling in a fragile post-COVID environment, losing new and existing talent to other communities at a time when teachers are in short supply, and knocking ourselves off course and back into those choppy waters. Who the heck would envy that? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bridget Krause. I live at 42 Nels Road. First, thank you for your service to our community. As a lifelong member of this community, I am embarrassed by the treatment and disregard for our educators, our families, and our kids during this budget process. I thought I lived in a community that valued our schools. To hear that a budget that would keep everything the same for kids, not much new and better, just the same as being cut, is unfathomable. Our kids will have less than they have now, less programming, less support, just less. I want to be clear, I want to see our schools grow and improve. I recognize this comes with a price tag. As a taxpayer, it is one I'm willing to pay. We all know that strong schools strengthen communities. That being said, the timing of this is mind-boggling. We are in the middle of a mental health crisis. Kids have had their first normal school year in over 3 years. To give them less at any time, but especially now I don't even have the words. I have 4 kids and currently have kids at all 3 levels in the district, elementary, middle, and high school. The oldest and youngest are separated by 6 years. I have seen the many positive changes in Milford Public Schools when comparing the experiences and the opportunities that my youngest has had with that of my oldest. It saddens and frustrates me that many of these things may be eliminated. All of our kids deserve to be a part of an educational system that strives to grow their programming to meet the changing needs of the community, not one that will likely have to continue to make cuts to programming every year. The potential of closing a school brings back every emotion our family experienced during the last redistricting. My oldest attended 4 schools in 5 years. We didn't move. Same home. She struggled to see school as a community because she wasn't anywhere for long enough. This is what happens when a school closes. It uproots kids and families. It breaks up school communities. It eliminates stability for kids. A school closing will not just impact one building, it will impact every child at that level as kids are shifted around to fit into the other schools. This is upsetting. How can we do this to our kids who have been through so much in the recent past? I honestly just don't understand. We're in the middle of a mental health crisis. Kids are struggling and there's talk of removing school counselors. Why isn't anybody asking how we can hire more? We're talking about closing school buildings, breaking up school communities. I have kids in 3 buildings and I have never seen an empty classroom. Where are these kids moving to? In 2020, our teachers were our heroes. We watched them in awe as they seamlessly went from classrooms to screens. Now we're asking them to teach in a system with a budget that doesn't respect them enough to pay their contractual obligations. We just get rid of them. Why aren't we asking how we can add to and enhance our schools for our kids? Why aren't we looking at the not yet list from Dr. Kataya's presentation to the Board of Education and doing more? As a community, we need to do better. We need to clearly communicate our commitment to our school system. We do this by restoring the education budget to the amount proposed by the Board of Education. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Krause, and I live at 42 Nels Road. I'm a 5th grader that goes to Meadowside Elementary School. I struggle with ADHD, anxiety, and depression. It's hard to focus and be happy in school. In 4th grade, I started working with my school counselor named Miss Smith. She has helped me so much. We have come so far, and I honestly can't imagine what I would do without her. I don't want to lose Miss Smith, and I don't want any other kid losing their Miss Smith. Many kids struggle like I do, especially in school, and for a lot of kids, in order to stay happy and focused on work, they need a school counselor. Even though not all kids work with the counselor individually, she comes and teaches lessons to every class. I think that's important because she teaches us to be aware and strategies when we're in a difficult situation. You go to school to learn, and because everyone is different, some people need different things in order to learn. And that's what school counselors are for. We need our school counselors. There are a lot of other things that kids will lose if you don't fully fund our schools. STEM labs and world language are some other things we need to keep in our schools. I think it's important that you fully fund our schools so that kids can have the best education. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you for your service.
Good evening. My name is Theodore Boynton, 30 Wiley Street, Milford, Connecticut. Lifelong resident here in Milford. Graduate 1974, John F. Kennedy School. By the way, it was the first graduating class. We went to a new school from Devon Grammar back then. Also a graduate of Jonathan Law High School, 1978. Went on to college, graduated 1982, and returned to this great city. Mr. Vitale's brother, I knew since I was a kid. Played with the Gurman family on the junior football team here in Milford. And thanks to Mr. Vitale, I found my niche in life to work for this great city and this great Board of Education. I'm a paraprofessional here in Milford, but that's another story for another day. However, I wear many hats over at Jonathan Law High School. And many of my students, over the years, and the different organizations that I oversee have helped many of you on serving on the Board of Education, the Board of Aldermen, all the different boards. And the reason is because I believed in you. So because I believed in you, they came out and helped. They took my word that the Milford groups were here and they were great and they were going to do great things for them. I'd just like to say that I've been a coach also for many years. I've worked with many great coaches. And that's how I look at this Board of Education. I look at our school system as a team. Okay? It is so important that we look at all of these cuts. Tonight we hear some great things about the children. We hear some great things about the teachers. But there are many more players in this organization that make Milford great. There's the custodians. There's the cafeteria workers. There's the counselors. Okay, and I can go on and on. And that is the reason why we are so successful. And I tell you, I'm very, very upset. Okay, very upset. I know many of you. I've worked with many of you over the years. Okay, my family, Boynton, Brienza, Varnum, Bova, Riley, okay, all are here in Milford. All their children went through the Milford school system. All of their children's children are now getting ready to go to through the Milford school system. And you ask why? I don't think there's any reason to ask why. Because the Milford school system is the best. It is the best. It's been over and over. Over and over, we received numerous accolades. School's blue ribbon. We heard it over and over again this evening. So I stand before you tonight as a paraeducator, as a Milford resident, to please consider, reinstating that 1.8. One last thing before I go. I would just like to give you a little day in the life of Ted Boynton. And this is just this last month, okay? And this is how great the kids are in this town, the great things that they do. 3 weeks ago, I was in New York City with the Model UN, with a group from Jonathan Law High School. 37 students worked for 5 days through the Model UN program, and they shined. They shined in New York City, not just against Milford kids, Connecticut kids, New Jersey kids, kids all over the world. Because of our educators, because of the people in the school system, because of our counselors, people who work with them every single day. The next week, Friday evening, Jonathan Law Ring Banquet, of which I'm the advisor. 115 kids dressed up to the tilt, okay, making Milford proud, making their parents proud, and having a good time, being kids. Kids being kids, that's what we're all about here. That following Sunday, the group that I have next to my heart, who I have kids here today, the Jonathan Law Key Club, put together a kickball tournament for Camp Sunshine, a group of kids who are terminally ill in a camp in Maine. Okay? And they raised $1,500, which we donated this past weekend when we went once again to the district conference in Springfield, Massachusetts, where Jonathan Law was once again named a distinguished diamond club because of all their hard work and their effort to help people. Those are the kind of kids that we have here in Milford. Okay? And we don't want those kids to go away. We don't want these things to go away. Okay? And lastly, okay, another thing nearest and dearest to my heart, which is very important, is the coaches. We cannot take away the JV programs from these kids in high school. That's the feeder program for the varsity. That's the thing that's going to make them successful in life. So I stand here as a friend, okay, as a resident to many of you, and I ask you to ask the people on the Board of Finance, like many of you do throughout the year, okay? Ask them to come and take a tour. Tell them to come around and walk around with the counselors, okay? Susan Meyer Farrell at Jonathan Law, who's in the building at 7 a.m., and from 7 a.m. till the time she walks out that door, all I hear is the walkie-talkie. Could you please come to my office? The vice principal, could you do this? And it just goes on and on. Everybody is important. So please, for the kids, for the staff, for the team, reinstate that $1.8 million. Thank you very much for all the hard work that you guys do.
Hi everyone, my name is Sahithi, and I'm a 7th grader who goes to Harborside Middle School. In recent times, the rumor of Harborside shutting down has become alarming and overwhelming. As you may have heard from others, this rumor brings many questions into light, but for me as a student, my worries stem from more than just learning. Schools are so much more than places to learn math and DLA. Schools are where we as youth make friends and create bonds with our peers and teachers. Shutting down one of our schools means that we won't have as many resources as we did before. Our learning has already been impacted by COVID. Do you really want to slow us down further? Another aspect that makes me worry is losing my teachers. My teachers and other school faculty are the people who inspire me to keep learning. I can't imagine school without the greeters, teachers, and counselors who make my school life whole. Cutting our budget would mean cutting our future out as students of Milford. I hope you take this into consideration as you work on your budget. Thank you for listening.
Hello, I'm Kishore Kalpali from 16 Zirko Farm Road, Milford. Of course, Milford. So, a couple of stories. I mean, I don't have anything written here. The moment I heard that 1.8 million budget reduction for the school system, I just want to give my thoughts, what just came to me. So, you see a pause. There's a reason for that, because that's the time you're taking away from students when they're in the school, or when they're actually before school and after school program, right? And then imagine when the kids are not in school, what are they doing? Yeah, we try to limit the screen time, but still, yeah, that's a big uphill battle. So you're trying to make kids stay away from the before and after school programs, which means parents cannot do the other work outside. So look at the economic implications of that. So the amount of money you're trying to save, I mean, let's say, okay, you're proposing 1.8 million cut. Okay, what's the impact on per resident taxpayer? What are they really saving? Now, look at the boomerang effect coming through as a part of education through kids. I don't need to say the economics there. You can feel that for yourself. I mean, many of my prior fellow residents have given you real stats. So one good thing, if any, investing in cities' education is the best ROI for anything. You pick anything, doesn't matter. I mean, be it property value, be it your mental sane, be it your way of thinking, imagine if Milford has to be a platform for the next generation of kids. And I'll tell you a little bit of my own story, how I moved to Milford. I mean, I've been here more than a decade and a half. But the question is, why did I move to Milford? Right? Milford, small city with big heart. It actually stands for it. So I loved everything. And I looked at the education. My kids grew up here. And when I look at education compared to other towns, I got to tell, not the best, but there is definitely a possibility for it to improve. So I spoke to many principals as my kids were going through, and I did see the improvement come through the school system. I was very impressed with how little, dollar amount the education progress has been made. And then now here, a couple of years ago, we hit with COVID. So until that point, we really made a good progress in terms of where we are in the education program. But now, once the COVID hit,
So it's a reset for the entire world. Now, when we are starting back, let's not go back. Let's go forward. And I can assure you, this budget cut, if passed, will put our education system back by at least 5 years. Now, you guys think about it. Choice is in your hands. Thank you.
Michelle Williams, 85 Viscount Drive, Unit 13C. This is my husband Robert, our son Gunnar, right here, our daughter Ava. We've rented in Milford. We moved here 4 years ago from Woodbridge. We love Milford. We're currently living in our condo that we rent, and we just closed on a house at 78 Hayes Drive. So we had a baby, she's 3 months old, and then we bought a house because we like to do lots of life events all at the same time. So the reason we bought in Milford is because this city just resonated with us. We lived here for 4 years. I feel like I'm not the only parent in the room that says a little prayer every morning when she sends her child to school, with all the shootings and everything like that. I will tell you, I am blown away by the support and the love that my son receives at Pumpkin Delight Elementary School. Principal Neal is the best. The counselor, Mrs. Kennedy, who was up here speaking, the best. His teacher is the best. He gets so much support. Everything he needs, he is supported. And I look forward to watching him grow. I look forward to him getting into the STEM program, like all these things he's learning Spanish, like all these things that he's benefiting from, that words can't even adequately describe, like how I feel and why it was so important for us to move permanently to become Milford residents and buy our home here. And then it was like a knife in our heart when we heard about this proposed budget cut. Why? Our population is only growing. You wouldn't invest in your children. We have to invest in our kids. I will gladly pay more taxes. We chose to live in Milford for a reason, and in this crazy market, it wasn't easy to buy a home, and we purposely wanted to buy here, and we were willing to pay the price to buy here because of the school system. So please, thank you so much for the opportunity to let us talk, and we're keeping our kids up late past their bedtime because this is important, and thank you. Please consider, my son's like, make the budget higher, even higher. Like, don't cut it. Don't cut it. We need the funds, and I will gladly pay more in taxes. I'm a nurse. My husband works in maintenance for the Board of Ed, and I will tell you, some cuts won't heal. Okay? Thank you.
Joe Velasco, 36 Sampson Ave. Just felt like I had to speak my piece as a taxpayer and property owner. It's really, I bought a house here a few years ago. I've lived here my whole life. I grew up here, I went to school here, I went through the public school system. And I could have moved really anywhere. I could have moved to surrounding towns, West Haven, Stratford, and where it was more affordable for us to purchase a home, but we stayed in Milford for the public school system. Just because, we know that it's a better school system, it's a better environment, just because I went through it. I graduated here. I was a student athlete here, and all that, that plays into effect for who you become as a person, who you are with your character, and just how you turn out in life. And I had a lot of teachers and a lot of good guidance in school that put me on a good path and put me to, just become a better student, a better, person. And to cut any of that as far as, guiding, counselors and stuff like that just doesn't seem to make any sense. And as a taxpayer and a business owner in the town, I would be at the forefront of any increase, and to follow up with Michelle, I'm fine with that. I didn't prepare anything, so I'm not the world's best public speaker. Cutting the budget, closing the school would lead to larger classes in other schools. I mean, that's, just basic math. And that, Larger classes, it's less individualized experience, it's less individualized learning, which a lot of kids need. And I mean, look at the kids that got up here and spoke, much more eloquently than I am right now. And that's, products of the public school system. That's, they're rock stars of young kids. I mean, your mom's texting me. It's, her mother spoke, that's my wife. We met at a Milford Public School. She forgot to mention that's probably the best experience that she had at a Milford Public School. But aside from all that, I wouldn't change my education experience for anything. Not that, I really didn't go on to get any higher education after this. I went into a trade. But this town, that experience, everything that I had, I wanted to pass on to my children. I went to Matthewson School, I went to Harborside School, I graduated from Jonathan Law, and every memory I have is positive. Every teacher I had was influential and positive. There was never any of this that I had to worry about as a student. And I really can't say that I want my kids to do it either. I'd rather them be comfortable with going to school every day and knowing that their school is going to be open and they can go have the same experiences and do the same things that I did and enjoy their youth. So, thank you.
Chris Thomas, 8 Argyle Road. I think I first came to this board maybe 15, 17 years ago, speaking on this exact same issue. And I said, restore the funds. In fact, I said, to borrow some money, I said, increase the funding for education. And a young Democratic alderman came up to me after the meeting by the name of Ben Blake and congratulated me and asked me if I wanted to get involved in government. I've only served on a historic commission in town, but I was president of a couple PTAs, followed my 3 kids through the school system. My youngest is a freshman at Jonathan Law. I've coached sports teams in this town. You've heard a lot of the good reasons. Your constituents want you to restore the funds. Now, I spoke last week at the Board of Ed, and I said this must have been a mistake because there's no good reason for it. I'm going to stress that. There's no good reason for this. It makes 0 sense. We're a town that's dropped the mill rate for consecutive years going. You guys made an effort. You did a great job dropping the mill rate by a full point last year. I still took a $900 tax hit. You know what I didn't do? I didn't complain because I love living here. I love raising my family here. My wife loves working here. All right? So a $40, $50 tax hit this year, fine. Good. You want me to go get $100 out of the ATM? I'll put it on the podium right now. There's no good reason for it. Whatever you think the reason for is, you're wrong. So here's what I'd like. I'd like you to restore the funding, if not improve it. I look forward to a press conference where the mayor, the interim mayor, the Democrats especially, and some of you fine Republicans stand up and say, we're sorry, all 15 of us are going to vote to restore it. That's what I'd like to see this week. All these people came out on a couple weeks' notice on a chilly April night, and they were standing outside an hour before this started. We all want to get home. I knew you want to get home. I got to get home and get the red off, put the blue on, and watch UConn. But we're here tonight. We're missing tip-off in a couple minutes. All right, we're here because this is the single most important thing going on in our lives right now. So again, I understand for some reason, maybe it was some secret plan to shut down Harborside. Maybe, you know what? Maybe you just wanted to see us all to get together, have this wonderful, positive experience. Whatever it was, 3 people made a mistake. You can fix it. You can hold a press conference tomorrow and let us know that 2 weeks from now you're going to vote to restore the funding. You can settle all this. All right? I've taken up enough of your time, but I would like to remind people that it's very good to put your name on the record. If you haven't spoken, come down and spend 10 seconds giving your name and address so it goes into the public record. And then, of course, I look forward to seeing all of you. If we don't have that press conference, I look forward to partying with all of you on April 17th as we do this all again. Thank you and good night.
Kathy Burney, 96 Centennial Drive. He's not kidding. You think there's a long line today? Wait until April 17th and word gets out. Because this $1.8 million needs to be restored. The budget presented was fiscally responsible. They are already having trouble getting new teachers because we don't pay as much as neighboring towns. And then this is thrown on them. What do you want from the superintendent and all the staff there? I gotta tell you right now, the counselors they have are invaluable. I lost my husband to COVID. If I didn't have a counselor for her, and she's not in the public school, so I was very fortunate to get a counselor. Invaluable. Invaluable. You cannot put a price on what it's done to help her recover from that. Because guess what? That's a life-changing event. And I gotta tell you right now, what this cut will do is damage Milford so bad. We won't get any good teachers. Why would they want to come here? Who's going to want to come to Milford? Who's going to want to buy a home here? Because who knows? They're going to close the school. Now, it's just inconceivable that the Board of Finance thought this was a good idea, and they based it on history. Well, I think we all know in 2020, history went right out the window because COVID hit, okay? Nobody could have imagined that. So going and basing something on history without facts was ignorant. And you cannot have it cost this city that much. $1.8 million is a drop in the bucket. Don't make us start a GoFundMe page.
Hi, my name is Tristan Sediano, 7th grade at Harborside Middle School. I'm here today to mention the fact that if we as a district and the Board of Education do not do anything right now, what we will have is a rubble of a school if the district stays this way. I think that it is unfair to the students like me and my fellow peers that for the past 2 years we have been doing distance learning. Coming back to school, finding out the information that my school of Harborside could possibly be closing is heartbreaking. To get the point across, as part of the Milford School District, we need to act and act fast. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Wesley Sotomayor and I live at 146 Cedar Hill Road. I know that I am young, but I am a 7th grader at Harborside Middle School and it means the world to me. I have lived in Milford for all of my life so far and I have made so many friends and memories here. If I had to leave my friends, I do not know what I would do with myself. My friends mean so much to me and separating from them would upset me to another level. All of my teachers at Harborside have done so much for me and have given me so much strength. I have had my fair share of ups and downs with my school, but that doesn't mean that I don't love it. I have also made so many memories at school, and I do not plan on stopping anytime soon. One of my best friends, Abby, that is behind me, would have to go to a different school. Even though we are going to different high schools, that still doesn't mean that I would want to not see her every day, even earlier. Please do not close our school. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Callie Waller. I live at 68 Green Street in Milford. I go to Harborside Middle School and I'm in 7th grade. I don't have a speech prepared like everyone else, but I saw on TV that everyone else was coming up here to speak, so I thought I could do that too. I love my school, and even though I've gone through some rough times, people have helped me at my school, and I wish that it would stay open. Thank you.
I need my moral support. So I'm a proud parent. This is my daughter, Callie. Thought I'd try to hold the tears till the end, but I guess here they are. So, Tori Lawler, 68 Green Street. Some of you I've served on boards with, some of you I know through other activities. I didn't realize this was happening tonight until Callie came home and said, there's a protest downtown, they might be shutting down Harborside. We were streaming this at home, and like she said, she was watching it, and she goes, can we go? And I said, okay, and she goes, okay, and she ran. She took off. So I followed, she got in line, and I want to thank you all for sitting here and listening to almost 2 hours of public comment, which I think says a lot. Right? Yes, yay. I've been listening as well, and I think you listen to everyone who's spoken here tonight, you can see that our schools play so many roles for so many people here. And I just ask you to please truly hear the voices of everyone who has spoken here tonight. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Juliana Gibson Dawson, and I'm here with my family, David Dawson, Dominic Dawson, Desiree Dawson, my daughter, and I actually asked their teacher, Ms. Grindell. We are at 72 Lamplight Lane. We chose to move to Milford in 2018. I'm from a tiny island called Barbados. It's a little dot on the map. And I'm saying that to you because Milford reminds me a lot of the home community that I had when I grew up in Barbados as a little girl. And I am experiencing that on the street that I live on, the street that I chose to purchase a home on in 2018 after working for 31 years since I was 14 years old, saving with my husband to make the down payment on that home. We are at Orange Avenue right now. We're slated to, our kids, our twins are slated to go to Harborside, and when we heard that Harborside was going to be closed, it's one of the main reasons that we came here this evening. I don't know if you all looking at us here understand how scary it is for me to be standing here talking in front of all of you right now. I cannot read anything on any of your faces, so good job on that. But it is terrifying for us. You know, we chose to come to this community because I spent about 5 months full-time after losing my job of 14 years in New York working at a newspaper, to choose to not work for several years, to stay home with my kids and take care of my kids instead of having someone else do it for me. And I picked Milford because of Harborside, because of Foran. I picked that house because that is where our kids were slated to go to school. And hearing that that is possibly not going to happen is the reason we came out here. So I guess, you know, this has motivated me to learn more about politics, something that I've always said that I never really wanted to be involved in. I didn't quite understand a whole lot of it. I've lived in this country for a really long time. I've worked here since I was 14 years old, like I said, 31 years, and I saved to make a down payment to buy that home in Milford for this purpose. So I'm here to ask you guys to reinstate the $1.8 million in the Board of Ed budget. I know that I don't understand everything that, you know, the decisions that are being made by the Board of Finance entails around that decision. I've watched and I've attended and I've read all of the material from the Board of Education. They've been very clear in terms of presenting what decisions they're making and proof for and reasons why they're making those decisions, so I understand that. I haven't had a chance, and I don't even know if there's a way of understanding the other decisions that go, you know, that are behind the decisions that the Board of Finance was making. But I trust that you guys do have that information and are more familiar with that information. And I am asking you with the things that you know that we don't know. I'm
actually yielding my 3 minutes.
Sorry, I'm oblivious about the time. Thank you. Okay, so 369, I don't feel so strongly about this beautiful place that we have chosen to live. I congratulate all of you for what you have done with this community. I don't know if you understand how amazing your community is. Regardless of whether we agree or disagree about this situation, you guys have an amazing community here. My children came home telling me about Miss Grindell, the teacher that made math fun. And I was so pleased with that we were over the moon, because that was not what was happening before. And that's at Orange Ave. And when I hear cutting 1.8 mil from the Board of Education budget, it made me make a decision to sit and pay attention. So I started to read and to study. So I'm here. We're committed to this community. My husband started chess coaching. That's his expertise from being the national champion and going to the Olympiads and stuff like that. So there are people here that he teaches. We are committed to this community, and we're here to do whatever we can to join you. We've learned from this community. The People Empowering People program taught us how to be better community members here. That's part of why we're here. And I trust you guys to make the best decision for us. I have lived in Manhattan, in New York, in Westchester. I have paid to live in the 1 and 2 bedroom luxury apartments on the river in Manhattan. I know what all of that is like, and I traveled all over the world, Europe, Asia. My husband has traveled to Russia to play chess and to, other countries that I probably can't list. But the point I'm making is, after all of that life experience, we picked Milford as a place to live and to buy our home. And it's because of you, all of you. I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat or whatever. Your community is amazing, and we chose to live here. We want to help you do whatever it is that needs to be done. I know that, I hear people whispering about Harborside closing and it could become apartments or parking lot or whatever it is. I know that could increase my property value, but I'm still choosing education. Maybe there's a way that we can do something. I don't know, but I know that you do know. So thank you for listening to us.
Hello, my name is Desiree Dawson, and I really hope that we don't shut down Harborside, because I was really hoping forward to go there to learn new things like art. I want to grow up to be an artist, and I'm making a website, and I really hope I can learn new art tactics. And I have an amazing teacher named Miss Grindell, and she's helping me to learn math, and I feel way better in learning math because I used to be pretty nervous at doing math because I used to mess up some of my words, and now I'm feeling way comfortable in speaking out loud and being in so that's all I really have to say. I really hope we don't shut down Harborside because I was really looking forward to go to that school, and I've been trying to learn about it, so I really hope we don't shut it down.
Hi, I'm Lucy Scrappa, and I'm 11 years old. I live on 160 Redwood Lane. I go to Orange Avenue School. If you do not fully support the budget that our superintendent asking for, you are going to make learning for me much harder. I'm going to 6th grade next year. And if you eliminate Harborside, I'm going to be in classes that are 35 to 32 kids. During the pandemic, Our class sizes were so large, and during that time, classes were so chaotic, and learning experiences were not that great. This year, my class size is 18. It's perfect. I have a teacher that gets to spend one-on-one time with me, help me when I'm struggling, but when we had class sizes that were higher numbers, I never got that attention that I needed to be the best student I could. I love going to STEM and experimenting, engineering, math, and science. I learned new strategies from my classmates. They learned some things from me too. And these learning experiences are my favorite. I love learning through creating, and if you take away these programs, you're taking away my growth and development as a student. You can't give us these learning opportunities and take them back. It's just not fair. We get a taste of what is so good, and then you're telling us we can't have it? Tell me how that is fair. Closing the school that I'm going to next year is not the answer. Full refund our budget.
I'm Kathleen Scrap. I live at 160 Red Root Lane. That's my daughter. I have two more at home that you would not want in this room for this long meeting. We moved into our home from one side of the town to the other. We moved to that part of town because of the schools that our children would be attending. Next year, they would be attending Harborside, this one. The other two will remain at Orange Ave. Now, our street has always been a swing street for foreign and law. We never know what school we're going to be going to. And now you're creating more unsettling times where we will not know where our children will be ending up. Education is important. It helps citizens become better citizens, gain skills to get a better paying job. Education shows us the importance of hard work and perseverance. Education continues to evolve and develop a student, gives them skills and talents that contribute positively to the community in which they live. It helps it creates a better environment for our communities. The development of these communities are basic rights and needs. The purpose of school is to intellectually grow, become a better citizen, socialize, and learn economic purposes. These basic principles provide stability in life. No one can take that from you, except you guys if you don't fully fund the budget. If this budget is not passed, we are giving up on so many things, basic foundations and fundamentals our children need. Often educators enter the field of education because they were impacted by a teacher, K through 12, during their schooling career. Such an impact that they too want to impact other children's lives. They transform their educational experiences into their philosophy of work. They pay attention to the needs of their students and the personalities and characteristics of their students and the population in which they live, in the place in which they live. They find new ways and creative ways to teach the kids that often have varying needs. When you tie the hands of teachers and administrators by limiting their resources and network of support, you dampen their desire to educate, inspire, and invest in their students and in their job. Not fully funding the budget translates into teachers' span of control, increasing class sizes, not having the support staff to manage the behavior and psychosocial needs, reducing time and attention to the individual students, losing sight of the student. The student is what matters. The student is the center of all of these decisions. As we know, students have needs, and they've significantly increased and have been magnified, especially during the pandemic and the aftermath of our pandemic. Our staffing needs are increasing. Teachers are leaving the profession at a higher and increasing rate. Social work, psychologists, specialists, and many support staff are all leaving. Top-heavy, as many of you have in the Board of Finance have said, members claimed it's too rich at the top. Yet you released an article that ranked the top 1 through 9 highest paying employees in Milford, firemen and policemen, leaving Kataya at number 10. Where are they expected to skim and cut back? Education feels the shortcomings of the town budget. We leave the budget not fully funded. We increase class sizes. Kids fall through the cracks. Teachers are left taking on other disciplines roles in which they aren't trained and qualified for. Job satisfaction decreases. To me, this is disgusting. Sports are eliminated. This means more idle time for our impressionable teens to fall into unforeseen situations, forces them into other activities. Sports are an integral part of character development of our youth. Communication skills, problem-solving skills, work ethic, accountability, how to be a team member on a team. These are just the endless listless things that we can all say that youth sports have an impact on other parts of their lives. I'm a nurse. I'm at the forefront of cost cutting, increasing the span of control from the top down. Do more with less. What message are you sending? Guess what? Outcomes don't improve. They become mediocre at best. It forces people out of jobs that they love into jobs that they just show up to. They do not become invested in your vision and mission. We need to invest in the troops, the teachers, and the support staff that are in the trenches. They need to feel supported and valued, to continue to have invested and impactful employees. Eliminating school, jobs, and programs are not the answer. It perpetuates negativity, animosity, and dismantles the team, thus impacting our children in their education. Life experiences. My children have thrived because of their educational experiences, the exposure to new ways to think, to problem solve. It has translated into other aspects of their lives. They are excited to come home and discuss what they've learned, what their teacher has shown them, the space that they have been given to flourish, the platforms to create, to share ideas, to learn new experiences, to hear others' ideas and opinions, and be exposed to all different ways of learning: STEM, Spanish, arts, sports, music. They all thrive when they are getting exposed to all of these types of programs. To me, that's invaluable. You can't put a price tag on it. Seeing it manifest into life...
Ma'am, you're way over 5 minutes. In all courtesy to all the people that have to speak, you need to sum it up.
Chairman Vitro, point of order. I mean, they've been here all night speaking, and a lot of them have very interesting and heartwarming things to say, and I think maybe you should perhaps just cut a little slack this time.
The health benefits and pension plan that has been in place for years may need to change to a different model. Funding it may not be sustainable. At my institution, years of service translates into the pension in which you receive. I know it doesn't feel right, and we all feel like we're entitled to benefits and pensions that have been in place for years, but sometimes the model has to change. Sometimes we have to adapt to the unforeseen barriers. But you always have a choice. Today, the choice is for you to support the full budget. Not supporting the budget will bring very detrimental things to this society in the town. Sorry, I lost my train of thought since I was rudely interrupted. All I'd like to say is you need to fully fund this budget for my children and for the youth of this community and your grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Pyle Emery. I live at 84 Judith Drive. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak and listening to all of us. I have a hard time speaking in public, as do many of us, but I need to speak up for my 2 boys and all our kids. I just learned about this today from Paige. Thank you. And I wrote this just now while sitting here. Normally I don't do this, but I had to do it. It's huge for us to all speak up like this, and it's hard for us to know exactly the time limits, so we'll try our best. My husband Jason and I bought a house here in 2011 after looking at hundreds of houses for over a year at neighboring towns. When we finally found our home here in Milford, we knew it was the one. We love our home. We learned the schools here were good, but we did not know just how good until we had 2 sons go through Live Oak School and Orange Avenue School. Our first son now is in 3rd grade at Orange Avenue. He has such incredible teachers and staff. The things they did to make sure the kids stayed sane during the pandemic is beyond amazing. He started reading before the age of 2 and talking way more than other kids his age. He has an incredible mind that I wasn't sure how to enrich him myself. But the schools have done such amazing things to enrich his mind. Our second child did not speak at all. He was very unhappy. He was dysregulated. He threw himself. I did not know how to help him. He had birth to 3 services, and it was very helpful, but he still did not talk much. Then during the pandemic, his services went virtual. We were lost. It was terrible for us and so many people with kids like us who needed help. We could not figure out how to help him, what was going on. We were depressed and we were stressed. But we eventually found out he was diagnosed with autism. We did not have enough help, and we were just very, very overwhelmed. When he was able to go to preschool at Live Oaks, he had the most incredible school teacher, Miss Julie, and paraprofessionals as well. And I cannot say enough about them and them having enough services to help our children. And he still has had disabilities, and as did many in his class, kids with cerebral palsy, speech delay, cognitive deficits, and other special needs, and autism like my son. These teachers helped him so much, such an incredible program. He still has difficulty focusing and was behind, but he was improving so much. Please don't take this away. As a nurse, I see what happens when services are taken away. When they said he could go to kindergarten at Orange Avenue School, I was nervous, but so many teachers and specialists helped us through this process. Molly Rascal, the special ed teacher leader, was truly amazing. The entire special ed program at Orange Avenue School is beyond incredible for many families and mine as well. My son, Taj, and many other kids who would otherwise be lost, dysregulated, not speaking, with mental breakdowns, massive tantrums, are doing very well because of these teachers, paraprofessionals, social workers, and counselors. He and many others are thriving because of these counselors, social workers, special ed teachers, and professionals. They are thriving because of them. They would be lost without them. You won't believe the details that these professionals take to ensure these children get what they need to thrive. The things that come home are incredible. I had no idea that he was capable of doing. I had no idea of his potential and brilliance. I mean, I had a little bit, but not as much as they were showing us. Teachers made this happen. He is talking a lot, and he has many friends. He comes home happy and regulated. It is hard for many children with autism to make friends. I'm very, very scared for my child and my friends' children who are also special needs parents. What schooling will be like through elementary and middle and high school, losing all these counselors, board-certified behavior analysis, special ed teachers. It's just not what we need. Bigger class sizes, we can't have that. The math doesn't work. Many of these special needs families can't be here because they have to be home with their special needs families, and I speak on behalf of them. They are praying that the budget is restored throughout the school system, from kindergarten to 12th grade. The school is helping their children. Please, please, please keep our services and our counseling and our special ed services. My older son is so happy with his teachers who are able to take the extra time and enrich his brilliant mind, and he comes home with incredible ideas, and I know he's going to change the world. He takes time to help the other kids because the teachers instill that in him. He takes time to help the other kids that are not doing well. He is worried what will happen if we lose our teachers. He is very worried for his little brother who needs these services. I am scared what will happen if we lose teachers and counselors in these non-negotiable programs. It is non-negotiable. Please, please restore our budget, take care of our children, invest in these amazing children, and thank you for your time.
Good evening, Paul Bunton, 68 West Rutland Road. Thank you for your time this evening. Clearly, this is a topic of concern for our community, and many of you have not even taken notes. For 8 years, I proudly worked as a New York City correction officer on Rikers Island, a place where no parent wants their kids to end up. As you know, New York City public schools aren't the greatest. I saw where kids ended up when there was no extracurricular activities and additional resources schools can provide. Clearly, these kids tonight showed you that they want these resources. With strong schools, you have strong communities. Please reconsider. Thank you.
Hi, Lauren Mahler, 11 Plymouth Court. I have a daughter at JFK, and I have to say this is getting pretty fun. I'm glad to know the clock's actually working, but I do appreciate the fact that everyone has really, truly been allowed to express themselves tonight. This is a lot. We're a lot. We get that a lot. I've been sitting here for 2 hours, knowing that you guys had the dinkiest, tiny little agenda ever planned for this meeting tonight, and yet you have been patiently sitting here for 2 hours listening to all of us, and thank you for that, first of all. I've listened to my friends, I've listened to my neighbors, I've listened to my daughter's classmates tell you the things that they love about this place, telling you all the things that I think, all the same reasons that I chose to make Milford my home for my family, all the things that they are now scared about, the things that they're scared about losing, the things that the parents are worried about not being able to have for their kids, the things that the kids are not worried about having at their schools anymore and being able to experience, and whether any of this plays out or not, that's where everyone is right now. They're scared. They're scared and they're worried. The one thing I have not heard anyone talk about tonight is why we're here. We're here because of all those things that you heard. We're not here because someone put out a cool Facebook post and we didn't have anything better to do. We're parents. We always have something better to do. We're not here because we all like to wear red, because some of us had to dig this out of our closets. We're here because 3 people on the Board of Finance decided that they didn't want to pay the bill for a program that this city had already decided to approve years ago. We're here because all of a sudden, those 3 people, not even the Board of Finance, split vote, 3 people decided that they knew better than the educational experts in this city who see what our kids need coming out of COVID and who see what our kids need going forward and who laid in place fiscally responsible plans to make those things happen and for those needs to be met. And those 3 people decided they didn't want to pay that bill anymore, but they want the credit for approving it all previously. They want Milford to have these programs in place, but they don't want to have to be responsible for paying that bill. God knows why. That's why we're here. You guys have had to sit here for 2 hours and listen to tears and anger and worry and frustration and venting, but you have nothing that you can do to solve that right now. You haven't taken any action. You haven't done this. Those 3 people brought this to your door and then walked away. They left us here. They brought this little flood of red shirts and loud, angry people, and they dropped crying kids with signs on the front steps, and they said, good luck, you figure it out. That's the way this local process is structured. They're not elected. What do they care? They have term limits. They're going to be sitting on that board until December of 2025, 2024. They don't care. You do. You're responsible to the people that they just brought to your door. You have a chance to fix this, but you can't vote until May. That's not how the process works. You technically aren't even supposed to be listening to anything about this budget until April 17th. Well, guess what? It's April 3rd. Surprise, we're here. And we're not going away. We're just going to get louder, and there's more of us, and we're going to get more people. This is what happens when you have 3 days in Facebook. Imagine what happens when we have 2 extra weeks. We have the same things to say. The fear and the worry that we're watching our kids experience now is just going to grow. And the only thing you can do to make it better is to vote in May, unless you come out before that and you go on the record and you firmly state that you are in support of this budget proposal. You firmly state that on your watch you will not let this happen, and these kids do not need to be scared. These parents do not need to be worried, and you can't vote until May. We know that. It's April. That's still a pretty long time away, especially for scared little kids. But you can fix it. That's the power that you have tonight, and that's the one thing I have not heard anyone say, other than don't let this happen. Okay, fix it before May. You can fix it now. You can go on the record. You can come out. You can say that this isn't going to happen on your watch, and we remember that. We show up, and we show up in November, and we're going to show up then for the people who do the right thing now. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Kara Flannery. I live at 41 North Street in Milford, and I just really don't have much to add to that. I mean, how could I? All I can say is, to me, this is what a small city with a big heart looks like. This is what it looks like, what you saw tonight. We came out tonight to speak to you, and we will continue to speak at every opportunity we have, because when it comes to this issue, you don't know how high the price is for this community until we tell you. Over the next few weeks, as you caucus and discern where you land on this issue, we need you to set aside party lines and political struggles, your cynicism and agendas, and act in the best interests of our community. We're calling on all of you to make this right. It's also important that each of you know that how you vote on this issue in May, whether or not you vote to fully fund the Board of Education's adopted budget, it'll be a make or break issue for us in November. We have email lists and social media pages. We have a petition with 2,400 names on it. I will download those names and knock on those doors. Traditionally, look, if you show up for us, we will show up for you in November. Traditionally, parents may not have been the largest force at the polls, but in 2023, they will be.
Hi, I'm Melinda Brenner. I live at 252 Brewster Road. I am a student of East Shore Middle School. I am a dyslexic. If you guys shut down Harborside, kids with special needs will not get the attention they need. I have a teacher named Miss Hudd. She is my special ed teacher. She is amazing. If you guys shut down Harborside, she will have over 30 kids in her room at once. So certain kids won't have enough attention that they need. They won't have a good enough education. Please do not shut down Harborside. Thank you.
Hello, I am Helen Gallagher of 38 Warren Street. I am 11, a fifth grader, and I attend Calf Pen Meadow. My mom is directing my school play. If you cut the budget, I am afraid that future arts programs will be eliminated. I will be attending East Shore next year. If you take away Harborside, the classes at my future school will be packed. My teacher, Mrs. Brunson, works hard to take care of 18 students. Imagine her taking care of 30. We need all the resources we have and more to help every student. We need our counselors. Please do something. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Babu. I live in 102 Dale Drive, which is right across from Mathewson. I have one autistic child in the special ed program in Harborside, and another neurotypical child who just graduated last year. So all the points I wanted to say have been said much better by most others. So I'll just say, please do not cut the budget, because the current increases asked for don't even cover the teacher salary increases. And that is going to go on because inflation is there. So I don't know if that is the standard we are setting, where we will be 5 years down, 10 years down. So please do not cut the budget. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Sarah Bromley, 27 Norway Street. I am the last, but it wasn't, well, maybe not the last, I was gonna say, but it wasn't because I was late this time. When asked what it really takes to achieve great success, Steve Jobs and another friend of mine say that deciding what not to do is as important as what to do sometimes. So I'm not here tonight to talk about my confusion about how many of the leaders who were against closing Harborside 5 years ago are the same ones who are now supporting a budget which could result in its closure. And I'm not here tonight to speak about how the $30 million in federal ARPA COVID relief funds that Milford has received, we just haven't been told how it's being spent. not enough on that. And I'm not here to actually talk about how it seems that other municipal categories in this big budget seem to may have coincidentally be slated to receive increases amounting to about the same as the schools are losing or at risk of losing. I'm actually here to talk about how it feels to come out of 12 years of public school education unprepared for your future. I arrived to Connecticut at age 16. I was the proud owner of a Kentucky public education where my foreign language instruction was watching TV Spanish in a cafeteria with 100 students. And the TV wasn't even a big flat screen, it was way up far away. So get her to Connecticut, 16, a fish, like totally culture shock. And besides never having even seen a bagel, I felt at such a disadvantage because my peers at Wesleyan from like, a lot of them, like New York, Connecticut, like New Jersey, like all from prep schools. And here I was, somehow landed here, and my peers at Wesleyan had been exposed to so much more than I had. It's like I didn't speak their language. And it's because I didn't have a good public education. It's really stressful playing catch up. I don't want that for any of our kids, to be playing catch up because other school districts are farther ahead and we can't stay up with them. So that experience influenced my lifelong passion for early childhood education and for giving children the best start possible. So I wonder how many of you are left here who are old enough to remember the old bumper sticker and poster that said, "It'll be a great day when our schools get all the money they need and the Air Force has to hold a bake sale to buy a bomber." I had that t-shirt, I had a bumper sticker, I had the poster. It was written long ago before I began teaching, but it still resonates for me. And I'm here tonight to remind you that, as others have, that any community is only as strong as its public schools. Every single dollar invested in early childhood education and in schools is returned 12-fold or more to the entire community and the entire economy. Any less support just feels tantamount to throwing kids and teachers under the proverbial bus. I hope this board, which I really appreciate, will revisit the Board of Finance's decision with a commitment to finding creative solutions to this year's budget, and I hope it will also work to ensure long-term planning that is both responsible and transparent, because, bake sales just won't cut it.
Okay, looks like I'm the last one. Thank you all. It's been a long night. I just wanted to get up here. My name is Jeremy Murator. I live at 5 Plymouth Place. I walked here tonight. One day I hope my son, who's a student at Orange Ave, will be able to walk to Harborside. When we first came to town, after I grew up in New Jersey, I lived in Bergen County, worked in the city. And then I moved out to LA and lived in LA County. I got relocated for work, moved to Fairfield County. I lived in 3 of the 5 most expensive counties and municipalities in the country. And I was relieved when I met my wife at work who grew up in Milford. She introduced me to this town. I've been a resident here for over 10 years. I've seen so many great things. Appreciate all the hard work that all of you have put into making this town a beautiful place to live, raise a family, and settle down. I work in customer experience, and so I just wanted to let you all get some good old VOC, voice of the customer. You've heard from a lot of fine people here tonight. A lot of people at home are probably wishing they could be here as well. Home is a great place. We all want to get home tonight, so I will try to keep this as brief as possible. As a customer, little things matter, right? At the end of the day, it's the things that you remember most are the ones that are memorable, the things that, are abrasive or cause you to pause and think, that are frustrating, that are painful, that generate loss, or create moments of happiness and joy. You have an opportunity, to figure out what this moment is going to mean for us, for you, for the town, for our future. And I just hope at the end of the day, when you run all the numbers, you look at all the facts, you think about all the inputs and all the outcomes that are on the table in front of us. If you make the right choice. We're all counting on you. We all had a voice, and thank you for listening. We appreciate it. And there's a lot of folks counting on you to make the right choice for all of us. So thank you. Really appreciate it.
I'll take advantage of that bonus 30 seconds that some of the people got. I want to thank all of you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. I wouldn't stay till the very duration because I wouldn't ask you to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. Thank you very, very much for hearing everyone out. I applaud you. I applaud your attention to concerns, and I would strongly, strongly remind you, you have a phenomenal platform right now, a phenomenal opportunity to be heroes. You have the platform and you have the attention of a lot of people. I asked you to hold it before. I try to make efficient use of these men and women's time. You have a great opportunity here. I mean, we've heard about neighboring communities. Mill rate 40 plus, Alliance schools. Mill rate headed to 40, Alliance schools. You have a phenomenal opportunity. You're playing with house money. I mean, we're not even in the same ballpark mill rate wise. And thank God we're not in the same ballpark educationally either. You have a great opportunity to use this moment to say that this Board of Alders, bipartisanly, was the one that drew the line in the sand and said, going forward, it's not just train stations and beaches anymore. Now, the forefront in all of these articles and all these patches and all these niche articles is going to be schools, train stations, and beaches. What a phenomenal platform you guys have. I mean, look at the insight and the opportunities you have from people coming out, and let's not allow this thing to go all the way till May. Why let it become adversarial? Everybody was happy. You saw the sad stories and the tears. Don't allow it to become adversarial. That's what you see over budgets in neighboring towns. Let's shoot higher. Let's shoot for towns beyond neighboring towns. And I'm pointing that way. I'm pointing that way because they got beaches and train stations too. Let's match the schools. Take advantage of a great opportunity. Thank you all for hanging in there. I tried to hang in because I wouldn't ask you for anything, and I'm asking you to increase my taxes. So I wouldn't ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. God bless everyone. Thank you for doing this. This right here is what makes this town worth paying to live in. It's a great opportunity. Thank you again.
I want to thank you all for coming out tonight and expressing all your thoughts about putting back the $1.8 million back in the budget. I know it takes a lot of courage to come up to the microphone and speak your mind, but just want to show you that we all appreciate your enthusiasm for our city. I want you to have a good night. We have to continue on the meeting, so if you're going to be leaving, please leave quietly. Alderman Harla, agenda item number 3, consideration of minutes.
Agenda item number 3, consideration of the minutes for regular meeting of the Board of Aldermen held on March 6, 2023.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item number 4, there was no special meeting. Agenda number 5, chairman's report. There isn't any chairman's report. Agenda item number 6, mayor's report and recommendations. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I will make this quick. I do want to thank the folks as they are leaving City Hall tonight for coming out to support our students, to support our schools, for advocating on behalf of all of our 14 Milford Public Schools. Thank you very much on behalf of Milford's chief advocate for our schools. I have 3 kids in the schools, and again, you made me proud tonight with your comments. I do want to make a couple of announcements. One, we have our Labor Day tree giveaway scheduled, Arbor Day tree giveaway scheduled for later on in this month, the last Saturday of April. Jeremy Grant, our open space and natural resource agent, will be giving away 500 trees paid for by blight liens. It is a tradition that we are now in the third year of. This year, it is in memory or tribute to Celine Sandor, a teacher in Milford who recently passed. I also want to mention that, I know it's going to be a long night, so I'll leave that, but I respectfully ask for your consideration and action of those line items in the agenda, 8A through 8F. I know that everybody is looking forward to supporting UConn for the second half of the championship game tonight, so I'll just keep it short.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
May I comment on that?
Yes.
Thank you. I wanted you to mention Earth Day along with the tree replacement on Arbor Day. So, as part.
Agenda item number 7.
In
There is no
addition,
unfinished
I'm sorry,
business.
Mr. Chairman, through you to Alderman Beatty. Yes, Earth Day celebration is still being scheduled by the Earth Day Committee. It will take place on Earth Day, the third Saturday of April, and it will kick off on the downtown green and should be an event appreciated by all.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moving on to new business. Alderman Harla, agenda item number 8A.
Agenda item number 8A, the Board of Aldermen approval is hereby requested for the appointment of Jennifer Dennis, 75 Railroad Avenue, as a member of the Board of Health to fill a present vacancy, term expiring on the 31st of December, 2025.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item number 8B.
8B, the Board of Aldermen approval hereby is requested for the appointment of Mallory Nugent, Barton Road, Milford, Connecticut, as a member of the Human Source Services Commission to fill a present vacancy, term expiring December 31st, 2023.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Are the members that have been, are they here? No. There is no here, okay. Just want to remind them that they have to go to the city clerk's office to be sworn in. Just want that to be on the record. Agenda item number 8C, Alderman Harlan.
8C, the Board of Aldermen approval is requested for the attached resolution regarding a resolution adopting the 2023 Southern Connecticut Regional Council of Government Hazard Mitigation Plan update.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Alderman Giannattasio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening through you to Mayor Blake. Mayor Blake, on this resolution, I noticed number 4. It says an annual report on the progress of the implementation elements of the plan shall be presented to the Board of Aldermen by the Hazard Mitigation Working Group. I don't recall that's ever been done before, and when would that happen, and who is part of the mitigation working group?
Mr. Chairman, thank you for asking. Mary Rose Palumbo is our representative this evening from that working group. She has been here for the last several hours. I appreciate it, Mary Rose. They meet regularly. This hazard mitigation plan is required to be adopted by municipalities every 5 years. It was adopted last year. We worked in collaboration with consultants from our Council of Governments. The 5 years before that, we did it on our own, and it was very cumbersome. We are grateful for the work of Mary Rose in the Hazard Mitigation Committee. We're also very grateful for the assistance of the consultants because, again, it is a document that you can choke a horse with. It is a lot of federal requirements, but we need this document to be comprehensive because Milford is a shoreline community. We are impacted by disasters. We need look no further than Storm Sandy from 10 years ago when our hazard mitigation plan, actually it was the year before that, Storm Irene, when our hazard mitigation plan was just about to be approved and disaster hit. And we needed to have that document ratified by this board and then approved at the state and the federal level, because if you do not have a working hazard mitigation plan, you are not eligible for FEMA grants. And post-Storm Irene, post-Storm Sandy, those are critical to rebuilding the community. So certainly Mary Rose has answers to questions about what the working group has done over the last many years. It's one of those groups that meets regularly so that we can constantly make adjustments and corrections and improvements to our storm readiness as well as other disasters.
Thank you, Mayor Blake. I was just asking simply when we could expect a report when your working group, Mary Rose Palumbo, would come before us, or you would come before us to give us an update on this plan. That's all. I don't know when that was going to take place, if that's going to be later in the year.
We can give you we will mail you or email you within the next week the updated plan.
Okay, so there is no presentation from the working group? I mean, not tonight, but I'm saying in the future. I'm just asking, because that's what it says clearly. It says here that they present, is it just the plan or is it a presentation?
Mary Rose, can you give us, is there the link to Milford's present plan that you can provide a link to so that we can look it up? I know that we can email you the link as well, or email you a copy.
Good evening, Mayor Rose Palumbo. Justin put a copy of the current plan, a link to it on the webpage about a month and a half ago. We brought to you an update in January of the Hazard Mitigation Action Plan, and that's what you're brought annually. And every 5 years, the Hazard Mitigation Plan, SCROG plan, is updated. So you saw a plan in your packets in January. And we'll update it again next January, I think.
So we saw the plan in January, but now we're updating the
Right.
The renewal?
The 2018 plan was done, and every year we had to update the actions. And while we were working on the 2023 plan, we did the annual update to the 2018 plan to stay compliant in case there was a disaster.
I have something.
So Mary Rose Palumbo, you'll be back before us next January? Is that the cycle?
That's typically the cycle when it comes through, yes.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mary Rose. Phil.
Alderman Beatty.
Thank you. Through you, Chairperson Vidro. We were asked by a community group to that we had the opportunity to make comments on the hazard plan. Is that correct? And so we got it in January in a packet. That's why I was trying to play catch up. What is it? What was our role? But then a community group emailed each of us, I think, and other people in the community, and asked us to give any feedback. You know, a town with 18 miles of coastline, and they were doing the hazardous mitigation plan, which is for other things, but mostly for flooding because of our topography. Is that correct?
Correct.
So did that commentary went back to you, or you knew about that?
Right.
So
I sent those survey requests out to the Board of Aldermen, and that went back to the consultant for SCROG, and
Right.
that was consolidated into the plan.
So when I got that, just so in answer to Alderman Giattanasio's question, I didn't know that the hazard mitigation plan was the same thing as the SCROG and all of that. So that's why tonight earlier we were saying that maybe we should emphasize when we put it in our agenda in minutes, SCROG means that hazardous mitigation plan. So that was helpful to me, so I don't know if that would be helpful to others. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Alderman Harla, agenda item 8C. 8D.
8D, agenda item 8D, the Board of Aldermen approval is requested per the attached recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Commission pursuant to 8-24 of the Connecticut General Statutes for the sale of 183 Homeacres Avenue, and authorize the mayor and city attorney to take all steps necessary to effectuate said sale.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Alderman Giannatasio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to our city attorney, Mr. Burcham. Attorney Burcham, can you give us the sale price? And the second part of my question is the bid process. Is this going to go out to bid? Or is there a buyer that's already lined up?
Mr. Chair, through you to Alderman Giannatasio. No, I can't give you the sale price. Hasn't been sold. What's before you tonight is the authority from this board to sell it. Historically, what we've done, we've either held an auction and or listed it with a broker. My recommendation is to list it with a broker. Just a little background for you, Alderman Giannatasio. This property was acquired via blight lien foreclosure. I believe it was abandoned by the then owner. Blight liens accumulated in the amount of $158,000. So I can't do the math, but $100 a day times that gets you that. The appraisal will be foreclosed in August of 21. There was nobody living in the home, and it was not defended, the case. So we got judgment in 21, and it took us a while to get to the process that we get here today, where we're seeking approval to list it with a broker and get it back on the tax rolls.
Thank you, Mr. Burcham. I was just wondering, are you going to be able to circle back with us with a value?
Mr. Chair, through you to Alderman Giannatasio. Yes, I can tell you the value right now in terms of we had to get an appraisal to get our foreclosure accomplished, and our appraisal was $180,000. If you look on Vision Appraisal, which I know some of you do from our tax appeals, our assessor has it at $352,000. Obviously, if you go by it, the house was significantly blighted because it was abandoned. We, the city public works department, has cleared it. I don't know if it's a tear down. I believe it may be. I don't think the home is safe for habitation, so it's going to be listed probably the 180s, somewhere close to what market value is for it.
Will this come back before us, before the auction?
Again, we're asking this board for approval to sell it. My recommendation is that we list it with a real estate broker, and the market value be dictated by that, not via auction, but just via broker. It will not come before you if you give me permission to sell it. I'm happy to report the outcome of that, but we will not come back for a second approval to accept X price.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I would like to know once it's sold. Thank you.
I know your number.
Any more discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Alderman Harla, agenda item 8E.
Agenda item 8E, the Board of Aldermen approval is requested for the attached resolution regarding the State of Connecticut Local Capital Improvement Program Assistance for 2023.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Through you, Chairman. To the mayor and I think to our Department of Finance. Can you walk us through what these LoSiP grants are going to be used for?
Mr. Chairman, through you to Alderman Parente, they have been used probably most regularly for asphalt management. At least over the last 20 years, I think probably the vast majority have been used for paving the streets, but they've been used for other things. They've been used for putting roofs on city buildings. They've been used for UPS systems. They've been used for servers. But I can tell you this, they're required to be used for something that is on our capital improvement plan. So the capital improvement plan that your board approved in January, this money has to be used for something on that. And if it is not, there has to be an amendment made which will require us to come back to your board to utilize the money for that.
Through you again, Chairman. So I familiarized myself a little bit with LoSiP. I think that we have to get approval before we can spend the money, and then once we spend the money, we get a reimbursement. Is that correct? And then I know that you had given us documentation of work on North Street, and I think there was a LoSiP figure of $502,500 you had mentioned to us that might be allocated for that from LoSiP. Is that somewhere in here? Is any of this LoSiP money going to be put toward North Street, or is it? Do you have specifications of what it's going to be used for yet?
This has not been identified yet, no.
So do we know yet what it's going to be used for?
It will be used for some type of capital improvement, something with a life expectancy of over 20 years. It has to be used for something that's within our capital improvement plan, but until we approve this, we then have to apply to the Office to OPM in order to confirm permission to use it for that specific project. So this is the first step that we need to take in order to utilize this money.
Thank you. Through you again, Chairman. Do we have to submit to the state an itemized list of what we want to have the money allocated for to get their permission before we can spend the money?
We have to make sure that it is, yes, we have to confirm with OPM that the money can be used, pursuant to their grant requirements. So yes.
I guess I'm still unclear on what we're going to use it for. I know you said the capital improvement plan, but what items within it is the plan for allocation for the funds? So
we don't have, until we approve this, so this is a multi-step process for this type of grant. We have to pass this resolution, and then we have to identify the project, and then we have to confirm that the project is eligible for this type of grant funding. So this is the first step in that process.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Any more discussion on the motion? Alderman Giannattasio.
That's interesting. So who's part of the identifying process? Is that at the mayor's discretion where the money will be eventually used? I know it's got to be something on a capital improvement plan, but we won't know exactly, to Alderman Parente's point, where the money's going, because usually, we just approve it. We're part of the first step, but the second step is, to your point, Mayor Blake, is where's it going to be designated to? And I know that you don't have that answer right now, but is that at your discretion?
Well, it has to be something that needs to be funded through our capital improvement plan. It's a team, whether it's identified by, in the past, it's been identified by the police chief who needs a battery for the computer server software system. It's been identified by, again, probably out of the last 20 years, 80% of this money is gone towards repaving roads. So most of the time it's used for our asphalt management program.
So will we get an update from you where it's ultimately going to be used?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor Blake.
Any more discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Alderman Harla, agenda item number 8F.
8F, the Board of Aldermen approval is requested for the attached resolution regarding a cash advance from Local Capital Improvement Program Assistance 2023.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item number 9, there is no new business. Agenda item number 10, there are no budget memo transfers. Agenda item number 11, moving on to refunds. Alderman Harla, agenda item number 11A.
11A, refunds list, consideration of refunds in the amount of $69,757.97.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Agenda item number 12, are there any reports from any of our standing committees? I don't see any. Move on to agenda item number 13. Are there any reports from any of our special committees? I don't see any of those either. Move on to agenda item number 14. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.